Stadiums have gone from concrete behemoths to technological marvels, and the giant monolithic arenas help to define tournaments. Back in 1930, the world embraced its greatest spectacle for the first time. Uruguay was the host, and in just 90 days, they built a stadium that's still there today. It was a gargantuan effort to pull together the 90,000 capacity Estadio Centenario, one of only 3 venues for that tournament that would act as a monument to 100 years of Uruguayan independence. If that was the World Cup's birthplace, Mexico City's Estadio Azteca became its cathedral. Some of the World Cup's most iconic moments happened on this grass, including this, of course. Also, both Pelé and Maradona lifted the trophy in the Azteca. A bit of pub quiz ammo for you there. You're welcome. In England, there's no more special place to us than Wembley, the scene of our greatest triumph. And yes, it definitely was a goal. Some incredible stadiums across the world have hosted matches, but you don't have to have a modern-day spaceship of a ground to make it memorable. Take 2006, for example, and here. The memories of what happened at Berlin's Olympiastadion show events on the pitch can elevate a stadium in the minds of fans worldwide. But that doesn't stop us from marvelling at modern triumphs of engineering. Let's jump ahead to Qatar and take a look at this, the Lusail Stadium. This gorgeous golden bowl hosted the frankly unbelievable final in 2022. But that's not where it ends in Qatar. Take Stadium 974, for example. This place was built from shipping containers and can be taken down and built somewhere else. Mad. It's crazy to think that we've gone from building giant concrete bowls to what is basically modern art. To be fair, some concrete bowls, like the Maracanã, are art in its most flawless form. The teams and the players are why we all come, but sometimes the stage they perform on ends up being the main character. And with structures like this, it's hardly a surprise.
Live from New York for the next 3 hours. This is talkSPORT. It's World Cup kickoff. I'm Adrian Durham. England legend Stuart Pearce is with me, and talkSPORT England commentator Jim Proudfoot as well. Back together on your radio and on the talkSPORT YouTube channel if you want to watch us for the first time since the semi-final defeat. Tuchel's banter in Atlanta. We've got considered reflections on England at the World Cup. We've got some serious opinions ahead of the third place game as well. And we'll look ahead to the final here in New York, New Jersey, between Spain and Argentina. You can join in too, 03717 22 3344. Join us live in New York. Stuart Pearce, how are you, sir? You okay?
I'm very well, thank you. Processing. I'm in a position of processing what's gone on with England over the whole competition.
What about you, Jim?
No, I'm not over it. I make no bones about it. I'm not over it yet. Still disappointed at the manner of it. We'll get there without a shadow of a doubt. But yeah, it still feels like a missed opportunity.
Oh, very much so. I'm going to get straight into it because I've got some meaty stuff to talk about on the show tonight. And first of all, it's about who's performed well for England over the course of the tournament and who hasn't. So this is Stuart's idea, by the way. Another good idea from Stuart Pearce.
That's 2 in 7 weeks, not bad.
Might get the hat-trick before the World Cup is finished. But underperformers in terms of, for England, across the whole tournament, who didn't perform as you expected them to perform, and those who performed better than you expected. So, Stuart, your idea, you take us away.
Right, I'll tell you what I've done. I've made a note of all the players that have featured a sizable amount, let's say, within. And this is how I come up with it. And this was aimed at my expectation of those individuals and whether I thought they over or underachieved. So, Quansah, 6. Pickford, 6. James, 6. John Stones, 7. Mark Gahey, 6. Quansah, 7. O'Reilly, 5. Dan Burns, 6. Declan Rice, 5. Anderson, 7. Bellingham, 8. Kane, 8. Gordon, 8. Madueke, 6. Saka, 6. Rashford, 5. Rodgers, 5. Spence, 7. And they're the individuals that I felt as though my expectation coming in, where they were coming in, I expected Morgan Rodgers to start the first game. He done okay when he come on, but I expected him to have more of an impact at this World Cup. Now, team selection played a part, so I'm trying to explain some of the marks that were dished out there.
Okay.
So, just for clarification, 6 is a pass mark, or 6 is disappointing? Where's the line? Where's
I would
par?
say average, as
okay,
expected.
so if you get a 6, then they have performed as expected. If they're getting 7 or more, then they've done better than you would have anticipated.
Good, and okay. I give 3 8s out. So to Bellingham, Kane, and Gordon. Gordon done slightly better than I expected him to do.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you to explain something, clarify something? Noni Madueke's got a better mark than Declan Rice and Nico O'Reilly.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying you're wrong to do that, but can you explain your thought process?
Well, coming into the tournament, my expectation, did I expect Noni to come and set the World Cup alight? No, I probably didn't. You know what I mean? So it's in proportion to my expectations, these marks. I think he had some really good moments within the tournament, but also as well some moments that frustrated me with him because I thought he took the easy way out and going backwards and sideways a little bit too readily. But he also as well got me off my seat on occasion when he ran at people. So
see, that's really important. I think sometimes what we say, the words actually get lost. So it's in comparison to your expectation.
Exactly that.
Rather than blank canvas, this is their performance at this World Cup.
Rather than me just turning up and saying, here's a group of players, you've watched them play, how do you think they played in that individual game? These are sort of marks across the board. I expect Harry Kane to come here and do well. He got 6 goals at a World Cup. I think he deserved an 8 on that. Bellingham, I weren't sure, to be fair. I knew he was a talent. I didn't expect him to start the first game. I thought Rodgers might start in his place. And I think he's come and been one of England's high performers. So an 8 reflected that.
And so Jude, an 8, not a 9. 6 goals from midfield is almost a tally that very few midfielders have ever been able to produce in World Cup football before. Yeah. So you weren't tempted to go higher?
There could be a reason for that. I think there was a couple of games where I thought, he drove England, don't get me wrong. You know, he drove England when they needed England. He's got a strong mentality. But just a couple of games where he didn't have a continual impact right the way through. And my expectation is that he would have come to the World Cup, maybe not started the first game. This is how I'm seeing it from the outside. Maybe not start the first game. Rodgers would start the first game because what he'd done the calendar year before. I thought he had credit in the bank. And Jude was going to take his place over the course of the tournament and go on to have a decent tournament. Now, I think he had a decent tournament. He got picked from the start, though.
The one I find really fascinating is Harry Kane, because he's been to a couple of World Cups. He did get 6 goals, and you can't knock that. You can't say he's been bad. But what I'm looking for, my expectation of Harry Kane is that he's at that stage in his career. He's the captain. He's record outfield appearance maker for England. Yes. and he's set to break Peter Shilton's record in due course. So that's your proper leader with experience. So I actually expected him to be a big performer when England got to a semi-final, but he wasn't. So for me, he's underachieved compared to what I thought he should do. So he's probably round. I'm a harsh marker, okay, but he's round about a 5 for me, Harry Kane. Bearing in mind what I expected of him.
Yeah, well, and this is the beauty of what we've done here. I mean, when we sat over breakfast this morning, we said, let's have a little look at some of the marks we might throw in. Let's do them individually. Let's not talk them out until we get on air, and then see what exactly is thrown out and how our perceptions lie. And that's exactly what we've done. There'll be disparities. If we all agreed, it'd be poor radio, to be quite honest with you, wouldn't it?
But actually, it hasn't been. We haven't told each other. In fact, you were both agreeing that you thought you knew who one underperformer would be, and I still haven't worked out who it was. So who was it?
Declan Rice.
Declan Rice, absolutely, yeah.
Well, it's funny because I said to Benty, just as we were crossing over with them on drive, it was a quick hello, goodbye. But I said to Bentley, who for you has underperformed at this World Cup? And please, Arsenal fans, this isn't me saying this. This is celebrity Arsenal fan Darren Bent saying this, okay? He said, not just Declan Rice, but he said Bukayo Saka as well. Now, my point in defence of Saka is he probably wasn't fully fit, as has been proven. And there's a question mark over whether he should have come to the tournament, if not fully fit, if unable to contribute in a World Cup semi-final. He has contributed in the World Cup overall. I think 2-3 assists for Bukayo Saka.
Yep.
So you can't say he's done nothing. He's not a 1 out of 10 by any stretch. The Declan Rice one is interesting because he too has been carrying an injury. He also got ill at the World Cup as well. Do we cut him any slack for that?
Yeah, I think you can cut him a bit of slack for it, without a doubt. He also got taken off in games, whether it was part of the illness and whatever. Now, I mean, you mentioned about Arsenal players being overfaced maybe this season. It's been a physical and a mental slog for Arsenal, chasing the title this year as well. And you can't rule out, sometimes that takes its toll. And the fact there was 2 players there that we probably expected a little bit more from at this World Cup were a little bit flat. And that can sometimes happen. If you pick a bug up en route as well, like Declan has, and Dec was substituted, which it's almost unheard of to see Dec come off a pitch, you know what I mean? But he was substituted in games as well.
Yeah, and my justification for what I would have given him a similar mark is because I hold him in such high regard that I think that he is a player who has justified an 8-figure price tag in his 9-figure price tag in his career in domestic football. I think he's an absolutely tremendous player. You don't get to 80 caps in the time in which Dec has done it. He's hardly missed a game without being an extraordinary international talent. I think if you were asking Dec himself whether he feels he's done himself justice in this tournament, he would say no. Now, he would also, I'm sure, point to a long raft of mitigating circumstances why he hasn't been able to perform at his best. And one of those will be the workload of having played nearly 70 games this season for club and country, having had an extraordinary workload in the 12 months, 36 months, 72 months prior to that. It is going to catch up with you. But I think that Dec is an honest enough player, an honest enough man, that he would say, no, I will look back on that World Cup with a little bit of regret that I wasn't able to do a little bit more. And so I think he has underperformed. And that's not to say I don't think he's a great player. I think he's a smashing player. Brilliant. But I don't think he's been at his best. Now, flip that round for Harry Kane. Harry will be disappointed, I think, that he wasn't able to make a greater impact in some of the games. But you know how Harry is going to play. He is going to have days where he doesn't have that many touches of the ball. He doesn't have many touches of the ball in the opposition penalty area. He's having to come deep to try and influence the play. And I think that that's what we saw the other night. England couldn't get the ball to him. So is that a Harry problem that he's underperformed, or is it the fact he's the nature of the level of general performance and tactics elsewhere that have made him look as though he's underperformed? Because I would still say that if he scores in the 3rd place playoff, he would have scored 7 goals in this tournament, and no English player has ever done that in a major tournament before. So you could say, well, he's disappointed, and yet, oh, by the way, yeah, he's the first Englishman ever to score 7 in a major tournament for the men's team.
He's had more games to do it, though.
Well, only one.
A little caveat, but yeah, they're on.
I mean, 7 in 8 even for a penalty taker, that's a tidy return.
I'm not knocking that. It's just the level of performance in the semi-final when we really needed our leaders
But so
to step
do you
up.
think that was down to Harry playing badly, or do you think that was down to a greater malaise within the team and the inability to be able to work him into the kind of positions in which he can be effective?
Captaining England badly, I think, in the semi-final.
Okay.
Because when we look at Thomas Tuchel saying it's in the English DNA, which is a subject we're going to get onto a little bit later on, I think he's not wholly right. He has to take more of the blame, and I wish he would. And maybe that's to come in the build-up to this third place playoff with France. But actually, it was the England players who started to retreat first. Now, that's when I'm looking to my captain on the field. Don't captains on the field solve problems generally? Isn't that sometimes what goes on?
Well, you hope, normally by their actions, you know, holding the ball up, that type of thing. It becomes so difficult for him at that stage of the game. We were getting run over the top of us by an Argentinian team that were absolutely fantastic and on the front foot, chasing an equaliser, then chasing a winner. And there's nothing we could do about it because the substitutions put us on the back foot territorially. And then we didn't solve the problem that is Messi, who went and said, too tight in there, too many bodies in the middle, I'm going to go and stand on the wing. And when you get the ball, give me the ball and I'm going to deliver top quality. Instead of saying, you know what, in hindsight for me, go 4-4-1 and then assign somebody as a man marker on Messi. And if we're 1-0 up, I'd have liked to have seen the outcome. Listen, he's a really clever player and I'm not naive enough to think that Messi wouldn't have come up with another solution to hurting England, you know, but I think he'd have found it more difficult.
Okay, let me ask you this very quickly. Marc Cucurella on that left-hand side for Spain. If Messi decides to hang out on the right-hand side again, what would Cucurella do with him that might be different to what England did?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this morning, you know, and, you know, Cucurella irritates me a little bit, you know, but
you've kept it well hidden.
But he can be very effective. And what he would do if Messi decided to go out and play on that side of the pitch, as soon as the ball was transferred, he would be on his way, and he'd be in his face and he'd be niggling with him and make it very. That's what I think he would do. Now we might see for ourselves on Sunday that might play out in that manner, and we might actually see that. But the one thing you can't do. You can't just let Messi stand in 3 acres of space, let him have the ball. We talked about pre-game about stop the supply line to one of the greatest players in the world, and then all of a sudden at the most critical time of a game, we're looking down. I'm saying, Jim, look down there. Messi's got all this room to receive the ball, get his head up, get it at his feet. He's already got pictures in his mind. He knows what he's going to do. But we're just giving him that extra couple of seconds to really make sure that you've got the ball exactly where you want it and deliver the ball, and his teammates are making runs and he'll put it right on a sixpence, as we saw.
We will come back to this subject, very interesting, and we will look ahead more to Argentina, Spain. Next, though, we're heading to Miami. Our England correspondent, Faye Carruthers, is there. We'll speak to her next.
Up until 72 minutes, we were going to get into the
were
World Cup.
crap.
Run. Oh, we weren't crap.
The goal,
right?
the
We
goal
weren't- we
was a
weren't crap.
wonderful ball from Morgan Rogers.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you to put your playing hat on now.
Yeah.
Your Argentina, is that a good goal or has they switched up at the back post?
That's a bad goal. You switched off. The right back, or was it the right back? Doesn't
Yeah.
it
But
doesn't even react.
why is that need to criticise a bad goal for England? It was a great goal. We went 1-0 up. It's a great cross.
It was a
Good.
great
Why
cross,
can't you
decent
why
finish.
can't you argue that Gordon lost his man to score the goal?
Because the geezer doesn't even see him.
Well,
He doesn't go
there
like...
must be a reason for that.
He doesn't run and go, boom, boom. He just runs and the guy's like,
Yeah, but
oh, my
you
man.
Troy, you can't criticise a goal that we
I'm
scored.
not criticising it. I'm saying we didn't play well. We had 5 shots in the whole game.
Yeah.
They had 5 on target. Remember, they don't call the 2 that hit the post on target.
Yeah, but
So
man
they had
for
the same
man,
amount of shots.
But man for man, they're better than us. But
no, they're not.
Oh, well, they are.
No, they're not.
Not man for man, they're not.
Man for man, they're better than us.
Well, last night they were.
Yeah, but still, I think maybe you maybe at a stretch, maybe 3 of their players maybe gets into the England.
Exactly. And they're not man for man better than us. What they could do better, and well, this is why I thought Messi's greatness yesterday really showed.
Yeah.
Because you know when they were 1-0 down, there was 40 minutes left, he went, give me the ball. He lost it a few times, give it me again. He hit crosses over, give it me again. Don't worry, just keep giving it me because I know I'm going to do it. Everyone in their team went, there's 2 lines. You can either be, I'm going to be the person who doesn't make a mistake, I'm going to be the person who wins the game. Everyone in their team and their bench went, we're going to win the game, I'm going to be the man.
Yeah.
Our team went, don't be the one to make the mistake.
No.
And we played with fear. Now, that doesn't always come from the manager, that comes from the players within. One person I do want to give a shout, because I've been very harsh on him with this whole thing. Jed Spence was top draw.
Yeah, he was.
Was top draw. So I give credit where it's due. But we've got top players, apparently. Where were they?
It's all over.
It's a familiar story as the full-time whistle blows. No less painful for its repeated telling.
Sorry seems to be the hardest word.
No, I don't regret it. It doesn't help if you regret anything. You take the decision in the moment.
It's sad, so sad, with the sad situation.
You don't ever want to leave the field thinking, I should have done this, I should have done that. Why didn't I do that?
Oh, it seems to me that sorry seems to be the hardest word.
So O'Reilly and Byrne for Rice and James.
All it done was draw the Argentinians onto us, who showed an aptitude over this World Cup to turn games round when it's going against them.
And let's face it, Argentina were the better side.
56 minutes after England scored until 90+2, when Argentina went 2-1 up. It's a 36-minute period. England had 12% possession.
And I can tell you, if it was still Gareth Southgate in charge, he'd get absolutely ruined.
That's nice and uplifting. Thanks for that. We're just trying to get over it here. I'll tell you who is in a good mood, judging by her Instagram. talkSPORT's Faker Others, our England correspondent, is back in Miami. You can't be in a bad mood in Miami. Faye, you've been on the beach. Are you happy? Are you over the semi-final defeat?
No, I'm not over it, but certainly being by the ocean helps. I had to go for a walk and clear my head again this morning because I have had a little bit of a grump on for the last 36 hours or so. It tends to take me a while after a defeat to get over it. And I've rationalised everything in my head as well, and I know that many other people will still be feeling quite upset about it. That kind of music does not help, by the way. We need optimistic, positive, let's build into trying to win another game kind of vibe at the moment, because that's what they've got to do. They've got to pick themselves back up and try and put in a really good performance and hopefully get a result against France, because I feel it's really difficult. I'm kind of split in two minds here. We beat France and we kind of come out of the World Cup with a wave of a little bit more enthusiasm and positivity going into a Euros qualification campaign, and what the future might bring for England and whether or not we can win a trophy in 2028. That's number one. Number two is if we beat France, are people going to go, well, if we can beat France, we could have beaten Argentina, and what could have been? So I don't know what mood most people are in. I personally think if we beat France, it gives us, you know, real positivity going into the next phase, building into the next tournament. But it obviously will also pose questions as to, you know, why we couldn't do that on the day against Argentina. If we lose, then, you know, it just consolidates what's been, you know, a miserable 48 hours or so if you're an England fan.
I'm going to drag your mood right down, send you back to the beach, because I think we're going to get hammered. It's Deschamps' last game. They've got some very good players. I think, well, I do. And listen, I don't want us to at all, far from it. But I think that Tuchel might feel the pressure to play different players who, probably Mainu, for example, haven't kicked a ball, and I'm not sure that they will be completely up for a meaningless third-place playoff. So I wonder, the question to you is, if they do get hammered, and let's hope they don't, but if they do, does that increase pressure on Thomas Tuchel?
Yes, inevitably it would do, because again the same old tropes get thrown against England that they can't beat the big sides. So yes, I think it would, and that's why I think it's really important that we go out, all out, trying to win it, and I think that's going to be the difference. We need to go all out properly. You know, not the defensive performance that we saw against Argentina. I think we all agree that wasn't the right tactical approach. None of us, apart from Stu, really, you know, can say whether that was the right tactical approach or not, because we've not been football coaches. So, you know, I'm always very mindful of that, and I said that to Thomas Tuchel in my post-match interview with him, because, you know, it's brilliant being an armchair supporter, an armchair coach, but until you're actually on the grass with the players in the moment making those decisions, you just don't know what you're going to decide. And he clearly thought in that moment that was the right thing to do. So you can criticise him for it now, because it wasn't the right thing to do, quite clearly, but it's very difficult to fully judge him on it because he did what he thought was right at the time. So, you know, I'm not on board with the sack Thomas Tuchel talk. I think people deserve an opportunity to keep going, and it was one game where he got the tactics wrong, having been lauded previously for, you know, brilliant half-time team talks and tactics and everything else. So I think we have to guard against that kind of thing at the moment.
Faye, do you think we've underestimated? We see things from England's side, and once we know the result at the end of the game, we turn around and start pointing fingers at the tactical approach, the substitutions a little bit negatively. But switch it on its head. I think the Argentinians were absolutely magnificent. From the moment we hit the back of their net, have we given them enough credit for their performance in this?
Probably not, because I think we saw their first half performance and didn't feel like they deserved to have any credit, and I think that has probably tainted the incredible performance that we saw from them in the second half, and particularly the performance of Lionel Messi and what we know he can do. The build-up into the game had been how brilliant he was. We have kind of lost the fact that he was brilliant in that second half, and that's why they ended up winning the game. But I think the tactics that they employed in the first half have made a lot of people angry and frustrated. It's not how we play the game. I understand that, you know, it's perhaps the way that they play the game, and it worked for them. So, you know, there is the argument maybe we need to be a little bit dirty, but I don't think we are that team, and I'm glad we're not that team, because I don't think I could necessarily be on board with a team that employs those kind of tactics, in my opinion. However, yes, absolutely they were, and I think we gave Mexico huge credit, we gave Ghana huge credit for holding us to a goalless draw, we gave Congo huge credit as well for pushing us. But you're right, I don't think we have actually really given Argentina that much credit, although lots of people are saying they were the better team. Over the 90 minutes I'm not entirely sure if they were the better team over the full game, but certainly the second half performance, you know, we had them where we wanted and needed them in the first half and early parts of the second half, but they had us absolutely on the ropes in that second half and went for the jugular and got a nick.
Faye, if there's a perception that any third or fourth place playoff is largely academic, that's how fans would see it. I'm sure that's not necessarily how the staff will see it. But you've said that there is a need to go out and have a statement victory to finish this tournament. Do you think that that is a perception that is shared within the camp, and as such will have a massive bearing on the team that is selected tomorrow? What are you hearing about how much rotation there might be?
I think it does have a big impact on the team. I think they're going to want to show what they're capable of. I think they have believed, having looked at all of the players who have addressed the semi-final defeat so far on social media, you know, they really thought they were going all the way. I thought they were going all the way as well. They've got a real belief and a winning mentality in the team, and they're absolutely devastated that they didn't take that next step. So they still have another step to take, and Thomas Tuchel said that they would be professional about it. I think having, you know, almost not put aside, because I think it's going to take a long time for them to put aside the emotion of what happened the other night, but at least parked it for now, having parked it and really thought about what they want to do, because this could have been a final. We were all expecting it to be, or hoping it would be, a France-England final, so they have to almost go into it as if it's the final. I know it isn't, and you know, again, the conditions are going to play a part in it. I feel it's still so hot in Miami, and that is not an excuse, by the way, at all, but it is a factor, and it is something that they need to bear in mind. I'm fascinated what Thomas Tuchel does, and I'm looking forward to talking to him later on when they finally land in Miami. Their flight's going to be delayed, by the way, so the press conference that was due at 6:30 local time is now going to be at 7:30. I'll get to speak to Thomas Tuchel and John Stones before that, and I am going to ask exactly that. What is the approach? Do some of the players that haven't had an opportunity to show what they can do get some minutes, or are you going out, you know, with the full intent that as if this was the final, and it's a game you want to win? Whether or not, you know, I'm sure he's not going to say, yeah, you know, it's just a training ground game for us. I'm sure he's not going to say that because he'd get pelters for it. But, you know, I'm sure behind the scenes they'd have said, let's go out on a high, because it's been a brilliant tournament up till now.
Faye, just one quick final one, and it's about what you expect Thomas Tuchel to say to you in the interview this evening in Miami. Basically, he's come out and said it's in the DNA of English players that they retreat when they're 1-0 up, and we can see history supports that. But I think a lot of people are annoyed and frustrated, maybe even angry with Thomas Tuchel for seemingly passing blame onto the players and not having a look at himself and holding his own hands up. So what do you expect him to say?
Well, he did say, you know, it's on me, I'm the coach. He did say that to me. Reluctantly, I felt. Really difficult straight after a defeat like that to immediately, you know, analyse your own performance and everything else. He's watched the players, he hasn't necessarily introspectively thought about his own performance, but over the last 48 hours I'm sure he will have done, and then we'll see whether, you know, he thinks, and by the way, I hate this apportioning of blame to one side, one person. You know, it's a collective ultimately. They are a team, they've talked about this brotherhood, that includes the manager and the coaching staff as well, and everybody had their part to play in that defeat to Argentina. It's not, doesn't just lie on one person. Yes, Thomas Tuchel made the decision to make the changes that he did, but we'd all be applauding him if those changes had worked in our favour and we'd hung on and won 1-0, or even gone to extra time and not conceded that late Lautaro Martinez goal. So, you know, I think we have to be really careful that the emotions don't spill over on that and make us not look logically at it. And I do think it's a collective that they need to look at, and maybe it is in our DNA, and maybe that is something that you know, we really need to look at. Dan Burns seemed to suggest something similar, but straight after the game was not the time to do that. And I know you said quick, so I'll wrap this up, but that's my opinion on it. But I wonder whether he might come out and say, you know, we've all looked at ourselves, we've all, you know, done some soul searching, and we want to put things right in the game against France.
Faye, great stuff. You're the voice of reason. Thank you very much. Back to the beach you go. Faye Carruthers, our England correspondent in Miami ahead of the fourth place game. And speaking to Thomas Tuchel tonight, we're going to talk about Thomas Tuchel next on the show.
minute comes and we're still 1-up and we've been attacking and we've still created chances, but it hasn't quite gone in.
Yeah.
But we're 1-up
Yeah.
and Rashford's on the pitch.
Yeah.
And Saka's
Yeah,
on
go
the
on,
pitch.
keep going. And we're
In the
here.
85th minute,
Yeah.
it brings on Dan Burn.
No.
Go, lovely
No, we get done the counter-attack. What are you going to say? What are you going to say?
What do you mean?
I just told you the scenario.
No, but that scenario is absolute crap.
No, it's
that scenario wouldn't have happened.
Jay, I'm just trying to paint you a picture about how we could lose the game in a different way based on what. Jay, I'm with you. Don't get angry with me.
No, I am getting angry.
No, don't get angry with me.
You're trying to tell me how I'm going to feel about a situation.
And you'd sit there and go, "Oh, well done, boys. Glorious failure. We had a right go. Right go at the post cup time. Got done in 2 counter-attacks. Fine. Go out in your shield." No way. No way you'd sit there and say that.
I would have sat there and I would have accepted it because I watched 4 bloody tournaments.
I don't believe you.
Of England.
I don't believe
doing
you.
exactly what we did last night.
I don't believe you.
And if we'd gone out with Rashford and Saka on the pitch.
I don't believe you.
And still trying to attack, and we get done,
do you know what
then
we'd be
we
sitting
get
there?
done.
Do you know what we'd be sitting there now? We'd be saying, how can Thomas Tuchel allow us to get done on a counter-attack twice, 85th and 92nd minute? How can that happen? You'll be saying the same thing, and it'll be a different conversation based on what the evidence is in front of you. You would.
Don't tell me how I'm going to feel.
Oh, you'd accept it, would you?
Oh, I've told you 10 times.
No chance. No chance. I know you too well. No chance. I wouldn't accept it. I wouldn't accept it. I'd be saying, why has he not got 5 at the back? Why is he not? He's 85th minute on the counter-attack. But listen, we agree. I'm just trying to...
No, you're not agreeing. You're not agreeing.
No,
you're not agreeing.
No, I am...
No, you're trying to wind me up.
No, I'm not. Jay, 100% I'm agreeing with you. Jay, 100% I'm agreeing with you.
You're not agreeing with me. You're not agreeing with me.
Iconic. There's no other word. An 18-karat gold trophy that owns the world, and it waits. It waits for 4 years. It's 1971, and FIFA need a new trophy to replace the Jules Rimet, so they launch a worldwide design competition. And in his studio in Milan, 50-year-old sculptor Silvio Gazzaniga immediately gets to work. But instead of sending FIFA a picture, he goes further and makes a prototype they can hold. It works. FIFA choose his design over 52 others, and perhaps the most beautiful piece of silverware or goldenware enters the beautiful game. Let's let the artist himself describe it. Gazzaniga said the idea was to create something symbolising exertion, dynamism, and the jubilation of an athlete in the moment of victory, with all the joy that contains. The malachite rings in the base fitted the sculpture well because it's green like a football field, and it's also a precious stone. The first captain to lift the trophy was Franz Beckenbauer in 1974, and of course, it's only the greatest who get their hands on it. Zoff, Matthias paved the way for the modern-day heroes who dreamt of lifting Gazzaniga's masterpiece. But there was something about this man holding it that seemed to deliver everything the sculptor had imagined. Were I to ever redo it, the artist once said, I wouldn't change a thing.
I think the players are owed an apology by the manager by the decisions that he made, because I think he let the players down.
In a World Cup semi-final, bring on Rashford, bring on Saka, and if they score, they score. But at least we're going to go down fighting. At least we're going to go down with some pride. We fell out of the World Cup in disgrace because of him. Because of him.
I think those 5 minutes after England scored, what Argentina did really changed the course of the game rather than anything Thomas Tuchel did.
To go out the way that we did again, and it's cowardly. It's cowardly.
Thomas Tuchel has told us that he's a fraud and a loser. So believe it when it's really clear, and he showed us that he's a coward.
Blimey, there's one or two strong opinions there on Thomas Tuchel. Like Simon Jordan, who's been repeatedly saying it's been a great appointment ahead of Gareth Southgate, and that's exactly what we should have done. He's an elite manager. Two, he's got to apologise to the players. I mean, Simon Jordan saying a manager has to apologise to players. He's always on the case of players, isn't he? Also in there, you heard that Thomas Tuchel is a fraud, a loser, he's a coward. And Jamie O'Hara completely losing it, saying it is Thomas Tuchel's fault. So, Stuart Pearce, is it Thomas Tuchel's fault completely?
I think there's two ways of looking at this, if I'm being honest with you, Aid. I think you've got to look and say, once you know the magnitude of the result at the end of the game against Argentina, did he get the substitutions wrong and bring Argentina onto us even more than they actually were? The answer is yes. For me, it's nothing to do with cowardice. It's nothing to do with anything else. Bear this in mind. 6 days earlier, we went to Mexico City. I think it was 6 days there. It might have been before it. We went to Mexico City anyway. And he put a rearguard action in place when we went down to 10 men. We were under the cosh, and that rearguard action paid dividends. It got us over the line. Yes, we conceded a goal, made it 3-2. Maybe we got good fortune in scoring the third when we went up the end of the pitch, but that's fresh in his mind. It's probably fresh in his coaching staff's mind that, look, my team can defend a victory. So when he's in a position, we're all sat up in the stand and thinking, this game's going away from us against Argentina. We knew what was coming. You know, everyone knew it.
You could
in
see
the
it.
stadium.
Yeah.
You could see it.
It wasn't hindsight.
No. The manager sat there and gone back to a tried and trusted formula of about a few days earlier that has got him and his team over the line, and it hasn't worked. So I think saying it's cowardice, it's this, it's that, it's not for me. The language is too strong. The bottom line is he's looked at a formula that worked earlier and it didn't work on this occasion.
He did say to Faker others after the game that he didn't regret anything, which I was surprised at. I mean, I'm intrigued as to what he's going to say today. And just back to Jim Proudfoot, what Faye was saying about it being a brotherhood, and you shouldn't blame individuals, and they're all a collective, and they should, you know, have a look at themselves as a group. I don't know where Thomas Tuchel, talking about the DNA of English football, comes into that, because that really isn't part of the brotherhood, because from the outside it looks like he's completely shifting the blame towards players.
Yes, that's how it looks like to me as well. So that wasn't a set of comments that were made in the immediate aftermath of the game when the emotions are at their most raw, but that wasn't a set of comments that spoke to me of unity. That was us and them. That's how they came across. It's interesting that he feels as though he hasn't got any regrets. In that game in Mexico, because Quansah had been sent off, England were in a position that they had to play 5-3-1. There was no option. And listen, it is such an easy game to analyse when it's all gone wrong. But had he gone 5-4-1 rather than 5-3-2 when he made that initial change to bring Ezri Quansah on, that might have been better, because England were getting outnumbered in midfield, and Argentina had brought Nico Gonzalez on at that stage, so he was playing wide on the left-hand side. Messi was floating around. Alvarez was floating around in a slightly withdrawn inside right, inside left position, and then they had four up top ahead of them. So effectively they were going 3-1-6. So England have got a numerical disadvantage in just about every area, because Argentina can drop back in. There's no way that England, without any pace, have an outball. We saw one really good run from Jude Bellingham, but he had three Argentinian players around him, and there was no other England player within the same shot, and possession was lost, as it would be, because the most that Jude could have garnered out of that situation was a throw, and we've talked about the lack of possession that was had. So I think that was probably the biggest mistake, although it's been interesting reading comments of those that have watched the game again, where they've talked about the immediate aftermath of England scoring the goal and that they were still on the front foot for the next 3 or 4 minutes, but then ceded a couple of really good opportunities to Argentina, and it was at that stage, probably on about an hour or 61 minutes, that they started withdrawing into their shell and couldn't get a touch of the ball. So if Thomas Tuchel's saying, well, it was the players that did it, I can kind of understand that would be backed up by his analysts when they are watching it, that they haven't heeded instructions. But he's then got the hydration break to be able to sort things out, make the changes that he made, and no one will ever convince me that the change he made was right, and that he, in his heart of hearts, will genuinely believe that the change he made, the specific change in personnel and formation, was right. I just don't believe that.
I think a common problem that we've got, we dominate the ball and we have good possession of the ball in the main, in our games that we play. I still think we got a problem building from the back. I think we're too dogmatic and we're building without an idea of what we're looking to achieve. I see other teams play and they move the ball from side to side and it looks slow, but you know they're looking for a big diagonal coming in a minute. And I tell you who's symptomatic on that, Harry Kane. He's at the front of the team and he's going, well, is there any chance of that ball being played forward? He drops into midfield and you know what he does? He hits a raking pass to the right wing that gets Rodgers in to cross the ball for Gordon to score. He almost says, this is how you do it, gentlemen. I see it time and time again. And that is a big problem for me. The build from the back is too slow, especially in the first half, to put the opposition on the back foot. And it's not just the Argentina game, it's previous games, it's Norway. And when we're playing at our worst, it's a slow, progressive build-up with no idea what we're trying to... The end goal is as such, to play through the thirds really quickly, to commit players, to overload players. I don't think there's a message there. And going back to the Argentina game, the biggest crime that we ever did was give Messi the space that he had, because I tell you what, both goals he was party to, crosses into the box, right on the money, they've rattled our goalpost a couple of times. Those three things for me. We had a chance in the first half to put pressure on people like Romero to make mistakes and rash challenges. We never really put enough pressure on getting the ball forward and saying, hey, you're in for a game today, we're coming after you.
Biggest crime, worst crime they ever did, play some rock and roll.
But the money's no good.
Where does that come from? Only we know. Do you know? We're going to head to our South American expert, Tim Vickery, next. Talk about Argentina, talk about Argentina against Spain in the final.
I wasn't overly enamoured with what we were doing anyway. I've spoken freely on this marvellous channel that we're on, and, you know, on talkSPORT regularly, and said, look, it's not as good as what everyone was making out, I didn't think, you know, and that's nothing against the manager, Thomas Tuchel, nothing at all. It's just that I didn't think, you know, I wasn't thinking we were blowing teams away and we were purring, but we were finding a way, and that's equally fair to say. That's a brilliant thing to have, of course, if you're not playing brilliantly, but you're winning games. Now, that's a great habit. We all know that. So I don't think I was too... I try and give balance to my comments about these things, and I didn't think we were magnificent anyway. There was a lot of talk about this feel, and how the feel was better. I wasn't having that bit. I was going, oh, come on, do me a favour. And I've spoken freely on, I think it was with Simon and Jim about, you know, Gareth's time, and they were sort of suggesting I was supporting him because I'm his mate and all that. I wasn't. I was just calling it how I think it was. I don't think there was radical change. I had a big debate with Simon about it on their show and said, look, I don't think there is radical change. Simon was saying there is, and he's a master tactician and that's fine, by the way. I've got no problem with people's comments because we're here now talking about it. But I did say on that show, I did say to Simon, I said, Simon, there's nothing radically changed here. You know, if you cut through the noise and you go, in balance to that side of it, which I have been intrigued with, is I do think this is the best opportunity we've had, certainly in my lifetime. I think it's the best opportunity we've ever had to win the World Cup. Not because we're amazing, but because the other superpowers are not as superpowered as what they were. France were flying. I think we're all shocked by that one because they were the ones who you thought, right, okay, they're what we think they should be, apart from their last game. And equally, you know, you look at them and they are superpowered. And yet, you look at their last game and you go, what just happened there? So it is the World Cup. It's not easy to win a World Cup. Everyone sort of suggests it is, but it's not.
Sets it up for Fernandes again in space, and there's the equaliser.
Chance at the far post, coming at the shot, Messi! It is in!
They've got the winning habit. It's not only the World Cup, it's a continental trophy either side. They've won 2 Copa Americas and a World Cup, so that they've really, really got the winning habit.
They were such a streetwise team. The manager, credible ability to adapt quickly and think on his feet, and, you know, the team reflected that.
Well, time's running out for the chance to bag a massive £26,000 in our latest competition. Imagine what you could do with a whopping 26 grand in cash, completely tax-free. Only got a few days left. All you have to do, head to talksportwin.com and do it now. Right, it's World Cup game day. Me, Stuart, Pearce and Jim Proudfoot, and we need to speak to Tim Vickery, our South American correspondent, because Argentina are in the final. We know the reaction, Tim, to Argentina beating England and all the things that England did wrong. I know you're very passionate about that, but Argentina against Spain is a different proposition. Spain are not quite as easy to get past as England's defence. So how do you see the final going?
Yeah, just get a grip on yourself, Adrian Durham.
Exactly right answer.
Get a grip on yourself, yes. I think Argentina would probably rather face Spain than face France. And I say that in the light of what I think was the best collective performance we've seen in the tournament so far, which was from Spain. And you might be saying, yeah, but they beat France in the World Cup final 4 years ago. So why would they rather face Spain than face France? I shall explain in the insignificance of my own opinion. Argentina, this is part of the tragedy and the frustration of England's defeat. No defences like pace and power and skill go running at them, but I think Argentina like it less than most. They are vulnerable to that. And it didn't surprise me that much when they got in a little bit of bother against Cape Verde. And France have an array of that. And if you remember the final last time round, and this I think is a lesson for all coaches, what did Argentina do? Right from the start, they thought, well, you know what? We are going to find a way to impose our game on them. And they unleashed Di Maria. Di Maria hadn't played the semi-final. And he came and he played when no one expected him to play, down the left against Koundé, the French right-back. And he took the game away from France there. It was 2-0 and 20 minutes to go before France had really woken up, because Argentina found a way to impose their game on France, even though I think even Argentina thought that France were better and more dangerous. Spain don't have, especially if Yamal is still not 100% and Nico Williams is not 100%, Spain don't have that pace and athleticism to run at them to the same extent. So Argentina will think that maybe they can stay in the game here. It's going to need, I think, a very, very strong referee. And we saw last half hour, England against Argentina, there is no funny business from Argentina at all, because they don't want it. They don't need it. They want the ball to be rolling. They've got rhythm behind them. They've got momentum behind them. First half, different game. What did they set out to do, Argentina? Because they were wary of England. They interrupted the rhythm of the game as often as they could. And it wouldn't surprise me if they'll try and do the same against Spain. and I think it will need a tough referee. What we don't want is a repeat of the referee, unfortunately English referee, in the 2010 final when it was Spain and Holland, who let Holland get away with too much. He tried to play the common sense card and keep everyone on the field. I think this referee will have to be tough right from the start to prevent Argentina from trying to interrupt the rhythm of the game. But there's no way, is there, that Spain are going to self-destruct in the way that England did against Argentina, or in the way that Switzerland did against Argentina. What may keep Argentina in the game is two things. Firstly, that winning habit that they've got around Lionel Messi, and this group always believe they can find a way. And the other thing is Spain, sometimes they're unable to transfer all the possession and the territory into goals. And we've seen with this Argentina side, they can be losing 1-0, they can be losing 2-0. They're not out of the game.
We have seen that. There is a perception, though, I think, that if England struggle to match manage when they have the lead, Tim, then maybe Argentina do as well, that they have taken steps back when they've been 1-0 up. Is that a concern, do you think, still?
Yeah, because look at the options there. Look, had Argentina taken the lead against England, they don't have that many outballs. You know, they don't have Di Maria anymore. And you saw how they were pinned back against Cape Verde when they were defending a lead. They don't have a great deal of, you know, look at the options on the bench that England didn't use. Who would have scared Argentina had they been unleashed second half? Argentina don't have those kind of options. So if they are ahead and defending, that I think is a problem for Argentina. The lack of the outball.
A very quick one, Tim. Lionel Messi did what he did to England, and it was sensational to watch. Even as an England fan, I could say that. Can he do it 2 games running at his age, at this level?
Well, this is the big one and possibly the last one. There's a delicious irony here. Stadium there in New Jersey. It's the very place where 10 years ago he retired from international football. He said that they just lost 3 finals in 3 years. And he said, it's no good for me. I'm a jinx. I'm jinxed. It's not going to happen for me. You know, I know it's quite hard for England fans to agree at the moment, but how grateful we should all be that he went back on it. Yeah, this is the big one. This is the one. He will haul himself up for this. He hasn't gone through extra time as they did in two of their previous rounds. Spain will clearly try and block him higher than England did, and that will be a problem for him. Let us see if he can find a way. Oh, what a treat we have in store.
Indeed, Tim. Thank you very much, Tim Vickery, our South American correspondent. Lionel Messi, who basically did for England. And actually, what a good job, Stuart, he came back, because 2 Coppers, potentially 2 World Cups, but he's definitely got 1 behind him. And I can say it now, it's worn off a little bit, but he was sensational to witness the other night.
It was magnificent. Very few people in history can actually win a World Cup or major tournaments on their own back. He's one of the very few that can.
Indeed, it was a special performance to watch. We didn't know what to do with him, really, Lionel Messi. We'll get the Spain angle very shortly on the World Cup final, which is coming up in New York, New Jersey. We will be there on Sunday on talkSPORT, and kickoff tonight. World Cup kickoff is live from New York. You can check us out on the talkSPORT YouTube channel or on your connected TV as well, and on your radio. Get us via the talkSPORT app. It's me, Adrian Durham, Stuart Pearce, England legend, and talkSPORT's England commentator Jim Proudfoot with you through till 10.
It's 25 minutes. You're playing against Argentina, and you've just gone, here. There you go.
I'm
go
so
on, just attack us. Attack v defence.
Do you know what, Jay? I can't believe I'm having this conversation about Tuchel. I cannot believe I'm having this conversation.
Sack him. Sack him.
It's just rinse and repeat as England, and I don't know whether he looked back on that Mexico game and got drawn into how comfortable he felt. No, Jay, I'm not giving you an answer. I'm trying to find a reason. I'm trying to get into his head. I don't know the answer, Jay. But any more than you. Don't, Jay. I'm trying to find a reason.
But why put Bellingham on the left?
Jay, I don't know.
Why not bring Rashford on?
I don't know.
Why not bring Saka on?
I don't know.
I'm trying to get. What was he thinking?
I don't know.
What's he thinking?
I'm trying to get into Tuchel's head because the lads were dead on their feet. And if you're going to go to 5 at the back, which I kind of understand in one way, I do. But what you need to do is help help the back 5, because if they can't get out, you literally are on the edge of your box, and you can't defend all the time like that. You need pressure on the ball. You need players to get out, and also you need an out ball. We had no out ball. Nothing. But I can't believe he's.
That's coaching 101. That's literally coaching. We are sat there, 2 donuts, all right, in the Redwood. 2 people that sit on here, all right? We ain't coaches.
It's not often a World Cup great is known for his time on the pitch and in the dugout. Franz Beckenbauer is one of 3 men to win the tournament, both as a player and manager, and Der Kaiser's tenure with West Germany is iconic. We all know Beckenbauer as that grizzled warrior, so seeing him here, a young, fresh-faced 21-year-old, doesn't feel right, does it? 1966 was his first World Cup, when he was already building a reputation for his strong, marauding play, playing the libero or sweeper role for Bayern Munich. He had to act as a more traditional centre-back for the national team, though. West Germany fell short, losing in the final to England, but you already know that. Despite revenge over England in the quarters 4 years later, a game in which Beckenbauer was keen to get stuck in, West Germany were knocked out by Italy in the semi-finals. At 25 years old, he had a bronze medal, a silver medal, and the gold was coming. In 1974, West Germany didn't lose a single game on their way to winning their first title. And to top it all off, it was on home soil. And this was the team they beat to it, their fierce, total footballing rivals, the Netherlands, a team fronted by Johan Cruyff. Beckenbauer shocked the world when in 1977, aged just 32, he retired from international football to go and play for the New York Cosmos. The world went mad. But when you're going to go and be teammates with this guy, I mean, yeah, fair. Beckenbauer did come back to the West Germany national team, but as a manager in 1986. His task, get through the World Cup without embarrassment. But they reached the final and only lost to Argentina and their iconic captain, who, let's be honest, at the time was unstoppable. Beckenbauer returned for one final World Cup at Italia 90, where he got his revenge. West Germany beat Argentina in the final, and Beckenbauer became, at the time, only the second man after Brazil's Mario Zagallo to win the World Cup both as player and manager. So across 5 World Cups as a player and manager, he got a bronze medal, 2 silvers, and lifted the cup twice. That smile tells you everything you need to know.
Inside the France half, early ball, gets it back, Pedro Porro! It is 2 for Spain, a chance for the current crop to achieve footballing immortality on the biggest stage of all.
I think the Spanish just strangled the life out of the game by the sheer composure and quality of their retention of the ball.
And yesterday was a masterclass of that, in my opinion. How well to control an opposition team and how easy it is to use simple principles and speed to create problems.
It's World Cup kickoff live from New York on talkSPORT. Empire State Building right behind me. I didn't see it, actually. I looked around, couldn't see it until I looked up, and there it was. We've already had the Argentina view ahead of the World Cup final live on talkSPORT on Sunday. Let's get the Spanish view. Phil Kitramalidis is with us live on talkSPORT. Phil, great to have you with us. What I find really interesting is how Spain started this tournament, 0-0 against Cape Verde, and everybody's saying, well, they're never going to win if they can't even beat Cape Verde, and here they are in a final with a massive chance of winning it.
Yeah, similar to 2010, where they lost their first game to Switzerland 1-0. I can tell you that the reaction here in Madrid when they drew to Cape Verde was, well, you can imagine what the reaction was. Imagine if England had drawn with Cape Verde in the first game. You know what everybody would have been saying. It was being said here, and I think rightly so. You know, even in the group stages, I wasn't overly convinced by how Spain were playing. I thought there were individual players who weren't hitting their level. And in particular, Rodri. I think it's important to highlight him because he was way off the pace. Like, physically, he looked slow. He was losing possession. And as he got better, Spain got better. And then they went into the knockout stages and just went up a gear in each match that they played, I think, as well. And they've had a pretty, challenging run to the final, perhaps more challenging than Argentina, certainly in terms of opponents on paper. But here they are, and now they're, big favourites, and everybody here is Spain, really quite confident ahead of the game on Sunday.
Phil, when I look across all the teams that are playing at this World Cup, the one thing that Spain is the standout team is their defensive record, which has been absolutely incredible. And do you think that's the one key that's going to get them over the line come Sunday?
Yeah, I do. And I think you're right to highlight that because it has been, for me, the sort of the standout thing about this Spain team. And perhaps, not in other years, we haven't necessarily associated Spain with this defensive solidity. And it's not just the back four, but it is the back four as well. And I want to highlight the centre-back pairing because coming into this tournament, we weren't, those of us who cover Spanish football and were looking at the Spain team, we weren't entirely sure who the centre-back pairing was going to be. We didn't know if it was going to be Laporte and Cubarsí, and obviously that's one of many decisions that the manager Luis de la Fuente has got correct, and they've been absolutely impeccable. The two fullbacks, what can we say about them? They've been amazing as well. But like I said, it doesn't just start from the back four. It in fact starts from the front line with the pressing, and then the way they hold onto the ball in midfield as well. It is a team effort, the way that they defend, but certainly the back four has been extraordinarily impressive. And perhaps, the most impressive defensive showing we've seen from Spain at a World Cup.
Phil, what's been the catalyst for the change that you've talked about? Because this is not a very different 11 that's going to be starting the final to started that game against Cape Verde, but there are significant changes and it's sort of evolved along the way. How much credit has De La Fuente picked up back in Spain, and what has been the catalyst for the changes that he's made and the improvements?
Yeah, huge credit to De La Fuente. Every big decision that he's had to make, he's gotten right. I mentioned the centre-back pairing that we weren't quite sure who was going to be. It was like, no, Cubarsí, Laporte, those are my centre-backs. We weren't sure who the goalkeeper was going to be, although we were sure because De La Fuente has completely backed Unai Simon. But for us, the journalists, there was a debate. What about David Raya? What about Joan Garcia? And he said, no, Unai Simon's my keeper. He's going to play, and he's been very, very strong as well. He's backed Rodri. I can tell you after the group stages, there were people suggesting, well, maybe we need Zubimendi in there because Rodri's looked slow. He hasn't moved the ball quickly enough. And De La Fuente said, absolutely not. He's my captain. He's fundamental to this side. I'm going to keeping him in there. And he's been vindicated with that. And then Lamine Yamal obviously came into the tournament injured, didn't start the first game, was eased back into it. And now he does look fully fit, although there is a question mark because he didn't train yesterday. But that is just load management, we're told. He should be raring to go in terms of fitness, but he wasn't at the start. So him coming back to full fitness, not necessarily shining and sparkling with attacking displays that we associate with him, but implementing the plan and being able to do what the manager asks of him, that's been very, very important as well.
Phil, England paid the penalty in my mind for giving Messi too much room, especially at the critical end of the game. It was almost as though the first half, Messi didn't show a great deal, the odd touch here and there that got you off your seat, but apart from that, not much. And England got comfortable with that and thought there was no danger. Then all of a sudden, he comes and finds space out on the right-hand side or in the central area. Will Spain do anything to counter that if that does occur?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and people have been asking, is there going to be a specific plan for Messi? And I don't think that Spain are going to set out to begin with to try and specifically set up to try and counter Messi. But when it gets to that stage of a game, Messi, like so many great players, just say, "Give me the ball, I will sort it out, and I will take responsibility." So when he goes into that zone, I think there are things that you can do as a team, and things that England didn't necessarily do, as you've highlighted. But when he goes into that zone, it's actually quite difficult to stop him. But from the off, I don't think that they're going to try and set up specifically to contain Messi. They've got their idea of how they're going to play, and that doesn't change regardless of the opponent.
You've talked about 2010 and the way that Spain won that tournament after a poor start. It was a succession of almost mind-numbingly dull 1-0 wins that got them over the line. And listen, of course, they're going to take the same again if they can do it here, but it's another tournament built around a solid defence. What's going to be the biggest concern for De La Fuente as he goes to bed tonight? What's on his mind? What's the biggest reservation he's got about tomorrow, do you think?
You say mind-numbingly dull performances. We say beautiful control.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, did I mispronounce that? I'm sorry.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. And, obviously, that is the way that Spain played then, and there are obviously similarities to the way that they play now, but I think they are a little bit more direct. There's been a calmness and a confidence throughout this team, throughout this tournament, actually. And even when everybody was losing their heads here in Spain after the Cape Verde, the messages we were getting from the squad was one of complete control, complete belief, basically, trust the process. And now they're in the final. Obviously, De La Fuente will be, scratching his head and making sure that everything is as prepared as it can be. There were the question marks over the fitness of Lamine Yamal and Pedro Porro, who didn't train yesterday. But like I said, we're told that that's just load management. Everybody else is 100% fit. So I don't think he's got too many sort of individual worries. I think he knows. And certainly the feeling we get here in Spain is that if Spain play to their highest level, which actually I'm not sure we've seen yet in this tournament. They were brilliant against France, but I still feel that there might be another little gear for them to go up. If Spain play at that level, they will beat Argentina. They are a more cohesive unit with a clearer idea, and they've been getting better and better. So I think that Luis de la Fuente is obviously tremendously excited, looking forward to it. It's the biggest game of his career by some distance, but I'm not sure he's too sort of worried and losing too much sleep.
Phil, I've got to ask you about one of your players. It's the left-back. Stuart Pearce was an England legend as a left-back, a former England captain, a World Cup semi-finalist with England. Call him irritating, don't you? You admire some things he does.
He can be irritating on the pitch, but I think that irritation's going to play into Spain's hands. I really do.
I think that, Phil, the question is, how does Spain as a whole and the fans, and the journalists feel about Marc Cucurella? Because he's had a mixed press while he's been in England.
Well, let's see now, because obviously he's moved to Real Madrid, which takes him into a next level of spotlight and scrutiny, certainly here in Spain. When you're playing in England and you're doing very well and you're at a high-profile club, you do get a certain level of coverage, but not the kind of coverage he's going to get now at Real Madrid. But generally speaking, people here absolutely love Marc Cucurella and the way that he is completely committed. And actually, I think, and people have suggested to me, he might be quite useful on Sunday against Argentina, playing those kind of games, like the non-football kind of games that you play off the ball, aggressive, competitive nature, which Argentina are very, 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 very good at. I think he's going to give as good as he gets, and he's going to be very important in that respect as well.
Phil, good insight. Thank you very much for talking to us. Phil Cucurella, the Spanish football journalist, and the view of Spain ahead of the World Cup final on Sunday. Let's go straight to the Open Golf. Here's Rupert Bell.
And Tommy Fleetwood, as you come to me, has the chance of an eagle putt to actually get to a 5 under. Well, he's going to get to 4 under because the local lad is finished with a real flourish here on a balmy evening on the West Lancashire coast, because he's playing the 17th, the par 5, and he's just left a putt of no more than a foot to get further up the leaderboard to 4 under par. So it's been a great finish. He was frustrated at the early part of the round. Elsewhere, Bryson DeChambeau's having a really good day. He's just got to 6 under par, 3 under for his round, playing the 18th. He's been gripping and ripping it throughout the day. Scotty Scheffler, well, he's been really frustrated with how his round has gone. Played terrific tee to green, but he just can't hold the putts, and the world number 1 is at 2 under for his round, and at 4 under he's playing at 17th. Tyrrell Hatton is another one finishing with a flourish. He's got to 3 under par, and certainly Jon Rahm is another one who is ending strongly. He lost his temper on the 15th where he threw his club away, so he's not happy as they try and close in on Lucas Herbert's 8 under par lead. Looks as if Jon Rahm is going to be another one getting to 4 under, but Lucas Herbert, the star of the show today after that spectacular 62, and Sam Burns, but still plenty of birdie chances out there. And as I say, Tommy Fleetwood making a late move up the leaderboard.
Rupert, thank you very much. Next up, we're going to be joined by Angelina Kelly, who's been in amongst it in New York, checking out some of the fans that are here for Sunday's final.
We've been talking all morning about Thomas Tuchel. We've been talking all week about him and the fact that he's questioned England's DNA, whatever that may be. He said, I think ball possession plays a crucial role. It's maybe not in our DNA as it is in the Spanish or Brazilian or Argentinian DNA. To take the ball and control the game and the ball, which is a big problem. What do you make of that, Ben?
Watching the Spain game the other night against France, that's how you keep the ball. And I think it comes down to bravery. We've got the players to do it, we've got the ability to do it, but it comes down to bravery. And I think once them England players put that shirt on, when it comes to the crunch moments, that's the bit that is lacking a little bit. We've definitely got the ability to do it. We've got the players to be able to do it. You watch Spain, and when they went 2-0 up, even when they were 1-0 up, they just kept doing it. You've got Fabian Ruiz and Rodri in the central midfield. At one point, they're playing two-touch over the French midfield. They're keeping the ball nice and calm. And I'm just thinking...
They had a good structure as well, though.
Really good structure, but they're drilled on it. And there's a lot of people saying, well, why can't we be drilled on it?
You've got to want the ball as well.
You've got to want it, but it's bravery, isn't it?
It is.
And bravery comes in a load of different forms. People think bravery might be a Dan Burn getting his head, and it is a form of bravery, but when it comes to the crunch moments, it's that calmness under pressure in the big calm moments where you've got to go, right, just woof, woof. And I think Argentina a bit, look at Messi, see how calm he is, and I think that filters through the team as well.
Yeah, he can carry you out of trouble, Messi, can't he? Give him the ball, he carries it up the pitch, he takes the pressure on. That's what we were lacking as well, just an individual who just could carry it up.
Oh, it'd be lovely if we had one of them, one or two of them at home, I think.
I think it's a bit unfair because he took Gordon off, and I think Gordon's grown into the tournament, I thought, because he had a lot going on at the beginning, which I spoke of, because with the move and all that sort of stuff, a lot to handle, if you like. But I think he's grown into it.
talkSPORT live in New York. We're on the eve of the third place game between England and France in Miami, and the World Cup final is on Sunday live on talkSPORT as France, they got knocked out. Spain take on Argentina. It's time now to hear some of your shared takes with Burger King.
Shared takes on talkSPORT with Burger King Burger Buddies.
Total tournament satisfaction, delivered by the experts. Order now on the BK app.
Loads of reaction to what we were saying about England in the first hour of the show, and there's a few messages I want to read here. Jay, as a Bournemouth fan, says, I think Tuchel lost belief that we could actually win, and his interview reflected that. Yes, he should have gone 4-5-1 with a floating midfielder, marking Messi, but rather than think he could change things around, he thought we weren't going to win it, so best try and hold on. He has to go, he hasn't delivered, and from the money he's on, he had to deliver. You had a big row with Simon Jordan about whether Thomas Tuchel should go live on air, didn't you?
Well, sometimes it's easy to say someone should go. I look and say, who's going to replace? Does that leave the FA in a more difficult situation today, trying to look for a new manager? Has Thomas Tuchel and his staff benefited by being at a major tournament? I said before tournaments, it's not easy. Tournament football is different to club football, and you learn very quickly, but you learn on the job. And you need probably a tournament to at least understand exactly what was right. Was the training camp right? Did I rotate enough players? All of those types of things you learn, and I think he'd have learnt a great deal from that.
Pep Guardiola's available. If a secret meeting was had and he said, yes, I would manage England, would you make that change?
I don't know how. Pep is probably the best manager that the world of football's ever had. I don't know how Pep would enjoy the lack of contact with players and how much impact he would have with the players. That would be my only reservation.
Okay, is that a no then?
I don't know what it is, actually. I've fluffed around your question, really. I'll leave it with you.
That's another little factor to bring in. Another one here from Aaron, an England fan, says Mexico are not Argentina. It's good geography so far. I'm sick of people using the Mexico game as an excuse of Tuchel's tactics. Mexico are poor, Argentina are not. Listen, on the night, Mexico were not poor. Have you seen Raul Jimenez play like that in the last, 5 years? Never played like that at Fulham. He was playing out of his skin for his country. He was fantastic. I think that was a difficult game because they were at altitude as well. Their home record sensational. There were lots of things that made that very good. Fundamentally, he's correct though. Mexico, and we said this on the night. Like, it's one thing beating Mexico. It's one thing beating Norway. Argentina is something completely different.
Jim nails it every time. He turns around and says, we're taking a team on that are ranked above us. We rarely beat teams that are ranked above us. And that was the case. We went to Mexico, we're ranked above them, we beat them. We take Argentina on, they're ranked above us. It's time to go home, sadly.
If you've got a share take of your own, you can voice note us or simply give us a call, 03717 223344. That's all thanks to Burger King.
Shared takes on talkSPORT with Burger King Burger Buddies. Iconic winners delivered in the box every time. Order now on the BK app.
We are live in New York, and it is time to round up all the latest World Cup action on talkSPORT, brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
Daily Tournament Roundup on talkSPORT, brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
And Angelina Kelly is with us. How you doing?
I'm all good, thank you. I'm in New York. You've got nothing to complain about, really, is there?
You've got to love New York. It's one of the best cities in the world, no question. First of all, let's talk about the air quality, because that's been a big story, certainly back home, been a big story here as well. We arrived to a sea of smog in the air yesterday. Much clearer today so far.
Yeah, definitely. It felt a little bit apocalyptic when I arrived yesterday. I was looking around thinking, what is going on here? I actually have asthma, and I could feel it just being outside, trying to go for a walk, because we know the traffic's crazy in New York, and I like to have a bit of a walk sometimes, but you could definitely feel it. But today, blue skies, I guess we'll see how the day goes on. But yeah, I guess open air stadium as well for the final. If it's going to affect things for the players, we'll have to see.
Indeed. Let's talk about fans, because that's what you do. Go and meet fans. You reckon the Argentina fans, Stuart, have been brilliant at this tournament?
They've been unbelievable. The numbers, you'll know more than me. You're on the ground with everyone. How have they come across to you?
Yeah, I'll be completely honest, not the most welcoming at times. We did meet an Argentinian llama today, though, in Times Square, who had a great chat with us. He was very, very interesting. You'll see that on the talkSPORT social media channels. But yeah, especially in Atlanta, there were so many fans, and all within themselves in great spirits, loads of, chanting, real party vibe that they brought, and I think that was really good, and I'm excited to see what that will be like in the build-up to this final. But I think the fans overall that we've come across, they've all been wonderful. England fans in particular, it makes you realise, because we've got these wonderful jobs with talkSPORT and you come across all these people and you hear these stories, but to actually understand the global reach that we have is actually quite special during this tournament. We're walking into a bar in Atlanta and you know, myself and my team, you know, Sonny and Harry, people are recognising us and we're like, are you sure? Like, yeah, you guys are from talkSPORT. And it's quite a nice feeling. We were talking to a guy from Manchester who, he said he was in his garden watering the plants and he was listening to talkSPORT and seeing the stuff on social media, and it inspired him to come to the World Cup. He flew to Boston because we kind of inspired. So basically, you guys are influencers, whether you like it or not.
It's our fault. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Argentinian llama. First name Dalai, I think.
Of course.
That's his brother. Del, you're thinking of. Del Llama.
The highlight, let's talk about the World Cup generally. Highlight must have been, in some ways, the Azteca, but I'm not sure you were totally convinced by Mexico City, were you?
Yeah, Mexico City, it was an interesting one. I think the amount of people, I mean, I live in London, you understand volumes of people, but I think it was, over 25 million people in the city. The Friday that we went out, I think everybody was out, you know, trying to get into the fan park. It was crazy, but all of the people were really lovely, apart from the one guy that was dressed as a clown that said he'd never heard of Jude Bellingham. And then karma kind of got him in the end, I guess. But yeah, Mexico City, the stadium, it was so iconic. And I guess people have got complaints or, you know, different opinions on the stadiums. We've had air-conditioned ones. We've got a final at a stadium that, in my opinion, does look like a bit of a car park when you're walking up to it. But to actually be at a proper football stadium, that for me was really special and really enjoyable. So it was definitely one off the bucket list, but it's got to be Miami. I mean, Miami was just, I don't know about you guys, but you just landed and just felt relaxed. It's a great job, but it is a stressful job being here, isn't it? Especially, I can imagine, for you guys. But to land and just feel like I'm in Miami, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the best part of the job for us, is the travel and the opportunity to see places that you wouldn't necessarily see. I've been fortunate to have been to some before, some that I haven't, that I would love to come back to. But when you're looking back on this tournament 5-10 years time, is it Miami that's going to be the standout for you? What's an individual moment that you will look back on with the most fondness, you think?
I mean, me and producer Sonny went to the Versace mansion in Miami. That was quite special, I'll be honest. We felt very, very important. But no, I think for me, it is Miami. I think the amount of fans that were just on Ocean Drive, all mixing. I got involved with the rowing, which I know, Adrian, you've got your opinions on the rowing, but it took a while to get going. I was kind of studying it for a good half hour, sweating from the backs of my knees, which I didn't even know was possible. And then it started, but it was really good fun. I enjoyed it, just getting involved in Adrian's face at the moment. But it was good fun when it all got going. And I think that experience was really great. But you could pick something from every single place. But for me, I just think Miami, the energy of that city was special.
It shows the difference between yourselves and us, really. You went to the Versace mansion, we went to the Hugo Dross mansion, you know, and kitted ourselves out, actually. Yeah.
In terms of food and the cost of things at stadiums, you've been doing this great thing on Instagram where every stadium you go to, so what can you get for, was it $20 or $30?
I mean, it's been rising, I'll be honest. We were trying to do around $20, $25. The highest we've gone is $50, which was in Miami. It was $11 for shaved ice. Like, I'm not too sure what shaved ice even is. $11 for shaved ice alone. They actually had caviar on some of the menus, which we didn't go for, but it's
Can
really
I just say, the shaved ice, they've done you there. They've absolutely ruined you there.
I know. It's ridiculous.
That's not a thing, is it?
Apparently so. People
Miami
in the
ice.
comments have been very upset that I've been criticising shaved ice, but there you go. I mean, it's one of the talking points.
Shaved ice?
Yeah, shaved ice. Yeah.
Well, they put cream on it and then...
I don't know, maybe. It comes with a razor, I don't know. But that's the thing, it's crazy going to these stadiums, experiencing the different food. One of the big conversations of this World Cup is the expense of it. I think most fans are looking forward to the next tournament, you know, the Euros, being in the UK and Ireland just for the cost of it. But I think in the stadiums, it's been very, very eye-opening. Atlanta, obviously, they lowered the cost. That was the best experience. The food's not always perfect, but the volume that you were getting for around $30, that was great. But yeah, experiencing it, that you're paying $30 for a cup of cheese, a pretzel braid, and this burger that supposedly got a special sauce, I can't even begin to describe what it was. It was horrendous. So yeah, it's been interesting kind of trying all of that out, but the biggest eye-opener being on the ground has been the expense of it. I mean, we're all aware of it, but speaking to fans that are, you know, bringing their families, thinking how much they're paying in these stadiums, how much they're spending to be here. We heard, I think the highest amount someone spent, I think, was about £50,000 for this trip. We met another gentleman who had left his home in Portugal, and you will appreciate this because he was a dog lover, Adrian. He went with his dogs, got on a ferry to he drove from Portugal to Bilbao, then got a ferry, dropped his dogs off in the UK, then went to London, then has been, you know, in the US for the entire tournament, went to Mexico as well. He's off to Puerto Rico for his 25th wedding anniversary with his wife, then back to get the dogs and back to Portugal. But this is the kind of things that people were doing. It's incredible.
The Super Bowl rings that you get for Super Bowl, they're doing them for the final, the 30 players, is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know if all the squad players will get it.
They're getting a Super Bowl type ring, and they're going to flog 2,000 to supporters. Will you be buying one?
Oh, it depends what the depends what the talkSPORT expenses are offering me. I'll be
Diamond
honest,
encrusted. I don't think you will.
I mean, for the you know, if that's what the talkSPORT people want to see, then me and producer Sonny will get on it. I will search high and low for one of those rings, whatever I've got to do.
By the way, they are horrendous.
They're so ugly.
They're just foul. And if I was a player, I'd be really upset by this, I think. So they're giving 30 out, but you can buy the other 1996, so it makes up to 2026, which is how many that they're making, because it's obviously the 2026 World Cup. You'd be absolutely devastated. Oh, I've won one of these things, but by the way, some rich person has just gone and bought one as well.
Yeah, it's got to be exclusive, hasn't it?
Yeah.
That's the whole the magic of these tournaments, is that these players are getting something that's exclusive to them. You hear about former players and what they've done with their medals and things like that, and yeah, to know that someone down the road's got one, I would actually go around and try and buy them all and just keep them for myself and myself.
As they say, that's the magic of Infantino.
That's what he brings. Angelina, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll let you get back out there and talk to some of the fans. Thank you very much. That was a round of all the latest World Cup action on talkSPORT, brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. They're here for it.
Daily Tournament Roundup on talkSPORT. Brought to you by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
To go, mate. I'm sorry, Jeff. Like, when we are paying £8 million for a foreign coach to come in and win us our first trophy since 1966, and that's what he does in a semi-final for an Argentinian side that were there for the taking, and to do what he did 10 times worse than anything Southgate's ever done negatively, I'm sorry, he has to go, mate. Simple as that. The FA have to make a decision, and I just didn't like his interview, the arrogance of his interview. No regrets. Yes, you have got regrets, mate. You've got regrets. There was loads of trouble after the game across the country. Everyone was together. And that's on you, Thomas Tuchel. That's on you. The negativity, cowardly tactics. You can't blame the players. I'm hearing people say, Jeff, that, oh, the players on the pitch have got to make decisions. There's some experience. No, you listen to your coach. Your coach tells you to play a certain formation. You listen to him.
Yeah.
He has to go. Simple as that. No foreign coach has ever won the World Cup. Maybe for a reason. We've given it a go now again with a foreign coach, and that's what he's done.
I mean, Alan here has just tested the same sort of thing you were saying. So Tuchel's shortcomings have been exposed. What about the players' shortcomings? Well, look, the players, we've got 6 defenders on. We've got 4 central defenders on at the end for the cross that Messi puts into Laura Martinez. So, yes, I get that. But ultimately, the can has to be carried by the coach, especially with the negativity. I mean, we all, look, everybody said this, but the negative. Anthony Gordon is flying. We scored a brilliant goal. Brilliant goal. You'll have loved, the fact that came Declan Rice, who's soon to come off as well, Morgan Rogers, and a lovely finish for Anthony Gordon. And Gordon's feeling 10 feet tall, so what do we do? Oh, we'll take him off.
Here's Kylian Mbappe! Oh yes! Oh yes! And Billy charging on! And finding the net! It's beyond Bono! It's 2 for France! Inside the France half, early ball, gets it back, Pedro Porro! It is 2! France are in all sorts of trouble! The favourites are vanquished! No dream last chance for Didier Deschamps. Mbappe and co are beaten in Dallas.
A lot of people thought they were going to win it, but it wasn't to be. The French will play England in Miami tomorrow, live on talkSPORT in the 3rd, 4th place playoff game. Let's bring in the French football expert, Eric Bielderman, who is with us. First of all, what's been the reaction in France? Because it has to be a little bit mixed, doesn't it? Because obviously disappointment that you've not made the final, but Didier Deschamps, this is his last game as manager, we believe. Zinedine Zidane coming in. So there's got to be some respect shown, surely, for the job that Deschamps has done.
I think there is a respect, a huge respect, if we see on the long-range vision. But, the mood after such a heavy defeat with such a poor game was quite bitter. There were a lot of question marks from the fans, from the media, and from the football expert like Christophe Dugarry, former French international, World Cup champion 1998 with Didier Deschamps, who have been very, very hard words hammering Didier Deschamps. So you can see that even former teammates can be very tough. So the mood is about not to be out of the World Cup in the semi-final. The mood is the way we have been beaten by Spain. We have been beaten tactically, we have been beaten technically, and we played as I would say a number of individuals, J-Wills individuals up front, but they played as a team, and that's very hard to swallow.
Eric, just expand on that then for us. Where do the French public, the French journalists, feel specifically you went wrong, apart from the lack of unity and the reliance on individuals?
I would say first, we knew from the early stage that we have problem with the left back and the right back. We might say that the penalty with Digne is a vital, a crucial moment. We knew that we were having some weakness. Digne versus Yamal was to be a very difficult task. Then, to me, the most vital point is that we did stick with the 4-2-4 system, only 2 midfield players. And when you know how the Spaniards are very strong in the midfield, they are fantastic the way they can pass the ball, they can turn around you, they are very patient. And we have had Tchouaméni, who did really play as a 3rd central defender, leaving Rabiot alone. And Rabiot, after 15 minutes, got a yellow card. He was fighting like hell as a lonely man on the left flank, trying to help Digne also. But then at halftime, Didier Deschamps decided, and I can understand him, to drop our best player, Rabiot, due to the fact that he might be on a red card situation. So altogether, we don't talk about the four up front. Why so? Because they never have had opportunity. They never have had clean balls to work on. So we can't blame them. Of course, they have made some technical failure. Olise and Dembele, they have been dreadful. But I think the tactical situation was the most important.
Eric, how do you think France are going to line up? Do you think he's going to rotate the team to give one or two players some World Cup experience with a view going forward at all?
Yeah, they will make 6 or 7 changes. We know that Mbappe will play because Mbappe will try to score as many goals as he can, if so, to be the leader of the World Cup versus goal scorer versus Lionel Messi. So that's one clear point. But then we will see Cherki. Cherki will be a first choice. Dembele should play also, but it's obvious also that we have to give some credit to players who didn't have had any minute. I want, first of all, to say N'Golo Kante. N'Golo Kante, you know him from Leicester, you know him from England. We consider him as kind of a local hero. We love him, and he deserves to have at least a game to say bye-bye, to say a farewell to international football. We will have one of the Hernandez brothers also. So, of course, it will be a very mixed team.
Yeah, I think it would be fitting for Kante to play against England in what will be his farewell game. I want to ask you a little one about Cherki. I've caught snippets of his post-match interviews. He seems angry that he's not been picked to start by Didier Deschamps. Does that mean he will play angry against England?
You mean Cherki?
Yes.
Yes, Cherki, you know, we love him. You know him maybe better than we do now.
I love him, yeah.
He's a very laid-back and very easygoing, easy-talking personality. So when he's bitter, he says, I'm bitter. When he's angry, he says, I'm angry. When he is happy, he says, I'm happy. It's easy to know how to handle a player who is quite readable. He's not a kind of hypocrite or somebody who pretends and he's not. So, of course, he wants to show something, but also he wants to behave because he knows that very soon he will have Zinedine Zidane to be the next manager, and he wants to show the very much positive attitude that we can have, because also after the game, the only 2 players came to talk, and among them was Cherki, and Cherki was really talking with the words of his heart. It was very clever the way he did answer, and also he made a video in the bus in the lorry going to the last training session, and the video was really, I would say, a French lover, a French proud player, sending a message to his teammates, sending a message to Didier Deschamps, and sending a message to the fans. So I think he's one of the players who can really score very positive points by playing great game on Saturday.
Yeah, that's worrying for England. Eric, appreciate your time. Thank you for talking to us. Eric Bielderman, French football expert. Stuart, you've done your England team to play in this 3rd, 4th place game, haven't you? Bearing in mind, if England do take a beating, as Faye confirmed earlier, that would count against Thomas Tuchel. It would increase the pressure on Thomas Tuchel. So he's got to get the balance right here.
Yeah, he certainly has. But I think he's probably put your mind at ease a little bit. You felt as though the French would go full strength. I never felt that. Sometimes you've got to reward players from being around your squad. Both teams will make changes.
Bringing in, Mbappe's going to start. Bringing in Cherki, I mean, for me, it doesn't necessarily weaken them that much, but that's up for debate.
Yeah, indeed. I think this is how I think he's going, and I'm sure we'll ban this around. Henderson in goal, right back Spence, Stones, Byrne, O'Reilly, Anderson, Mainu, Rodgers playing a number 10 situation, Kane playing as the centre forward, Rashford playing on the left-hand side, and Watkins playing on that right-hand side, or it might be Eza.
Why Kane?
I just think he's the captain of the football team, and I think we're talking about being top scorer and that type of thing. I just think that he'll want Kane at least to start the game. I just have that feeling. There's been many times I've sat and thought, Harry will have a rest on this occasion, going back over history, not just with Thomas Tuchel in charge, and he's come out and he's led the team, and I think he will again tomorrow.
And briefly, why Stones and why not Jude?
I just think he'll give Jude a bit of a break. I think John Stones missed a couple of games. Admittedly, he's come in and played a couple and seen those couple out. I just think he's on good form at the moment, and you want good role models in your team.
But you would be tempted to do that rather than Chalobah, who, I mean, hasn't featured for a year for England.
Yeah.
But has been out here. The late call-up has been out here, been a very good tourist by all accounts. But would you give him his World Cup debut?
No, I wouldn't. Not on this occasion. I would certainly give him some minutes in the game, but I wouldn't start him because, as we said earlier, England and Thomas Tuchel need a feel-good factor. And for me, whilst you've got to mix the bag a little bit and throw the names in the air, you've still got to put a team out there that you think's going to win the game.
So you've been in this position as a player back in 1990. Did you want to play in the third place game back then after the frustrations of the previous midweek? What was your mentality as a player? What was the mentality of your teammates for that game?
Yeah, I wanted to play every game for England. And more importantly, the game before, a semi-final, I missed a penalty for England. So the last thing I wanted, Bobby come in, I think it was the night before the game, and said to Schultz, who was on 124 England caps and was going to retire, he said, I'm going to leave you out. He said to Chris Waddle, I'm going to leave you out, and myself. Both of us missed penalties, obviously, a few days earlier against West Germany. And for me, I was crestfallen because the last thing I wanted was for people to think I'm so devastated about missing a penalty that I can't wheel myself out to go and play for England again. And that was the last thing in the world that I wanted people to think. And my mentality as well was, I've got to get back out there and play again. You know, from the lowest moment in my career, I didn't want people to think, hang on a minute, he's ducked this one because of missing a penalty. Now, Schultz went to see Bobby Robson and said, I'm retiring and this will be my 125th cap, and he changed his mind on Schultz. There was a little bit of me also that felt, I was very good friends with Tony Dorigo, who was my understudy at that World Cup, who hadn't kicked a ball for England. And if I would have gone to Bobby and Bobby would have changed his mind, that would have meant Tony Dorigo didn't kick a ball at the World Cup. And part of me felt that was unfair as well.
It's too nice. Stuart Pearce, you're too nice.
I'm a team player, fella. Always have been, always will be.
Did Tony Dorigo say thanks?
I'm still waiting for it.
Well, I think Jim knows him well.
I got an assist on one of his caps, it's fair to say. What a great player he was, incredible.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we had some good left-backs back then, and you were the number one at that time. Listen, let's go to the Open, latest with talkSPORT's Rupert Bell.
Well, the main players have completed their second round. It's been an enthralling end to this second day here at Royal Birkdale. Most notably, Bryson DeChambeau with some stunning play, particularly over the 17th and 18th to get to 7 under par. A magical 4 under par round means he's just one behind now the halfway leader, Lucas Herbert, who of course carded that amazing 62 earlier today. Other players who've made a big move today include Cameron Young and Jackson Suber held it together. Ryan Gerrard is still out on the course, but don't think he'll be able to get any closer than his current 6 under par mark. Well, what of Tommy Fleetwood? He certainly gave the crowd something to celebrate towards the end. Couldn't get the birdie on the last hole, but he's finished at 4 under. John Rahm's also at that mark. Matt Wallace, another Englishman, is right up there, and Scotland's Robert McIntyre is another at 4 under, 4 back. But there's some big names who won't be in action over the weekend, including the US PGA champion Aaron Rai, Matt Fitzpatrick, Justin Rose, and the champion at the last time they were at Birkdale, Jordan Spieth, is also going to have the weekend off. But it's Lucas Herbert who will be leading into the final 2 rounds of this year's Open.
Rupert, thanks very much. Next up, we're going to be looking at some transfer news back home.
wonder whether he went back, muscle memory, whether he's gone back to what happened against Mexico, where we dealt with 5 at the back and they threw things at. But this ain't Mexico.
There's 20 minutes left.
It's
20 minutes of normal time, Jace.
It's more than that.
And we had a man sent off against Mexico. You could almost accept it.
I know.
You're playing against Argentina.
Yeah.
You can't sit off for 25 minutes against Argentina. No. He absolutely bottled it. Thomas Tuchel's cost us the World Cup. He cost us the World Cup. We're 1-0 up. Played well first half. All right, cagey affair. We go 1-0 up. Be brave. Be brave, Thomas. This is what we brought you in for. We brought you in for this moment. We got rid of Southgate because he bottled it, because he weren't brave. We brought you in for now to make that decision. We're 1-0 up in a World Cup semi-final. Bring on Rashford. Bring on Saka. And if they score, they score. But at least we're going to go down fighting. At least we're going to go down with some pride. We fell out of the World Cup in disgrace because of him. Because of him. And we brought him in for this job. This is what we brought him in for, to get us over this line. And it's the same old England, same old crap, same old guff that I have to watch every tournament that we're in. And it's the managers tucked us up again. Tucked us up. We're dead on our feet. Got Morgan Rogers playing right wing, Jude Bellingham on the left. Brings on Nico O'Reilly. We can't get out. Harry Kane's done nothing. He's dead. Nothing. Got nothing left.
I don't.
I can't believe it, Jace.
Well, no.
Jace, I can't believe it.
No,
It's a disgrace.
He
should be sacked. Get him out. Gone.
I totally agree. I can't believe that we've moved on from Southgate. And it was, if you look back over how we've limped out of World Cup or Euros, whatever, it was literally rinse and repeat. It's the same reasons. It was cowardice.
Win 26 grand in your hand, courtesy of talkSPORT Win.
Time's running out for the chance to bag a massive £26,000 in our latest competition. Just imagine what you could do with that whopping 26 grand in cash, completely tax-free. But you've only got a few days left, so here's how to enter. For your chance to win, visit talksportwin.com or text WIN to 83338, 83338 by 6 p.m. 20th of July 2026. Text cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or send your name and number by post to Comp1, PO Box 3190, Colchester CO2 8GP to arrive by midnight, 23rd of July 2026. 18 plus UK residents only. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338 now. It's a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksportwin.com. It's World Cup game day. This is Adrian Durham with Stuart Pearce and Jim Proudfoot. We are live from New York on the eve of the third place game and 2 days before the World Cup final. Let's talk about things back home domestically. West Ham have a friendly against Southend tomorrow while England are playing in the World Cup, albeit the third place game. Jared Bowen left out of the squads, and we actually needed somebody on the right, didn't we, in the semi-final, but there you go. Jared Bowen out of the squad, but he's committed to West Ham. He has committed his future to West Ham United, despite the fact they're in the Championship, Stuart Pearce. Are you surprised by that?
The answer is no. When West Ham got relegated and they were muting that there's going to be wholesale sell of players, that type of thing, because I know Jared, I know he's got a streak of loyalty, and I know he loves being at the football club and the connection he's got with the fans. You know, he is the one player that he's the go-to player that the fans love there. It's not surprised me that he stayed at the football club, and credit to him for it. In this transient world that we live, where players move on at the drop of a hat for financial reasons and that type of thing, I'm delighted to see he is, and I hope West Ham, obviously, for obvious reasons, get promoted, and as much for Jared's reason as well, for staying loyal to the club.
Okay, and there's a lot of positives in there, you're right, but Jim Proudfoot, you commentate on England for us. Is this Jared Bowen announcing his retirement from England duty?
No, I don't think so, not at all. He would want to still be able to throw his hat into the ring and be considered for selection. I don't think there's too much doubt about that. Thomas Tuchel, I don't know, might have a different view. He might look at it and be of the opinion that you have to be playing regularly and elite level football to be included in his squad. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, whether Jared does find himself being recalled anytime soon. You'd have to say that on the basis that it's a 26-man squad here, but it's effectively 27 when you consider that Tino Livramento dropped out and Trevor Chalobah came in, so he's not in the 27 in Thomas Tuchel's eyes. So it might be difficult for him to get back in, but if he's ripping it up in the Championship, you never know. You've got to pick your best players.
We just saw a headline online, Stuart, asking if Jared Bowen's the most high-profile player ever to play at Championship level, and you said to me that you were England captain at Championship level. So it actually didn't affect your England career, did it?
No, we got relegated with Forest in '93. I was the England captain under Graham Taylor at the time, and my first job at that stage, getting relegated, I didn't overly want to leave Nottingham Forest because of the loyalty the fans had showed me, but if it was a choice of getting relegated and not being selected for England, that was a price too high for me to pay. I rang Graham Taylor and I said, look, if I play outside the Premier League, will I still be up for contention? And he said to me, yes, of course you will, and you'll still be my captain, as long as your form's good. I said, thank you very much. And with that, signed a new contract at Forest and stayed with Forest. And it was utopia, really. But then again, I've always placed England above anything I've done at club level, and I think the one thing probably with the Forest fans, they'd have probably understood that was the only reason I would have left Forest at the time.
I mean, you're only down in the Championship for a year, but did you feel as though it affected your England performances in any way, or was it the fact that you were part of a winning team, winning nearly every weekend, actually helped you?
Yeah, I think the latter, Jim, to be fair. I mean, in the team that we got, we went out and signed Colin Cooper and Stan Collymore that summer. Stan was absolutely outstanding. At the end of that season, in the England squad was Colin Cooper, Steve Stone, Stan and myself, 4 players. So we were playing some scintillating stuff, got promoted in that first year, and it was probably a fantastic decision eventually for myself, but it was all on the back of Graham Taylor said, no, you'll be in the squad if you're playing well enough.
I remember that season for Forest because your last game was away at Peterborough United, needed to win it for the title, and they were 2-0 down in 10 minutes. Forest won 3-2. Stan was brilliant, scored great goals. Somebody else scored.
Yeah, didn't score many with my head, but I think I was responsible for the 2 Peterborough got. I attempt to even it up with a goal for Forest.
I was there, devastated. We were already relegated by then. Of course we were relegated by then. Let's bring in talkSPORT's transfer god, Ben Jacobs, is with us. Just on Jared Bowen, Ben, were there any offers you know about? Did he have offers to stay in the Premier League before deciding to stay with West Ham United in the Championship?
Not formal offers, because after West Ham got relegated, Jared Bowen was very loyal. And what he did is he told potential suitors, including, for example, Newcastle United, that he was not going to receive offers, that he was not going to try and get a counter. And he wanted to hear out West Ham's project first, which tells you the loyalty, but also how hurt he was by West Ham going down. And this is not per se a new contract so much as a revision or an amendment which covers the season 2026-2027, because there has to be Championship terms and likely an acknowledgement from all parties that you've got the long-term contract, but that kind of kicks back in if West Ham get into the Premier League. And if it doesn't, then there's a fair chance that Jared Bowen will end up leaving and on relatively preferable terms in the summer of 2027. So this is really refreshing, and it shows you that even though West Ham have gone down, they're still a big club with big pull, and Jared Bowen wants to be the face and ultimately the feet that get them back up into the Premier League. And that's why he said to all Premier League suitors that made informal inquiries whilst the season was actually still ongoing, he would decide if he was going to stay at West Ham first, and then if he had decided to leave, only then engage with suitors.
Ben, I've got no inside knowledge on this statement, but was there ever any interest from Everton and David Moyes reuniting with Jared?
Yeah, absolutely. David Moyes loves Jared Bowen, and Everton were looking, very broadly speaking, to add a wide attacker, whether on the right or the left-hand side, or somebody a little bit more versatile, but nothing ever materialised. I'm not aware that David Moyes made a call. Everton had been linked in the past, had Tottenham Hotspur as well, so it could have been a very different story if somebody had come in aggressively for Jared Bowen, maybe even in the January window, turned his head and then tried to revisit it in the summer. But everyone was quite respectful because Jared Bowen controlled this narrative, and whether he had made the England squad or not, it was always going to be a case that he was going to fly out, meet the West Ham ownership, hear their vision and project, and he went away from that meeting believing that West Ham are going to come back up at the first time of asking, and that's why ultimately they made this contractual revision, and then Bowen came out. And I think that's a big statement, because this is not just a case of let's carry on the same contract. This is not a case of smoke and mirrors and letting the season start and the window would still be open. This is basically pretty much on day one of pre-season, Jared Bowen saying no rumour, no speculation, I'm staying. And personally, I really like that from a player and ultimately a captain.
Yeah, agree with that. Quick fire ones on World Cup players. Aston Villa have confirmed they've signed Johan Manzambi, so we know about that. Julian Alvarez not for sale, maybe. Morgan Rogers, is he going to Arsenal or not? So what about Alvarez? What about Rogers?
Yeah, with Alvarez, it's going to be difficult because the Atleti CEO came out today and said the player, again, is not for sale, specifically mentioning Barcelona. Is there a different price and terms for a non-La Liga club? Should Arsenal enter the race? Maybe there are some provisions to get Alvarez cheaper than 500 million euros, which is his release clause for Champions League clubs, but it's still likely to be a deal at a minimum of 150 million euros. And if anyone triggers the clause, by the way, even if it's reduced, you've got to pay the taxes as well. So that's difficult. And yet Julian Alvarez has been angered by the Atleti statement. In addition, all of the noise and speculation, he wants this to play out privately after the World Cup, and he still wants to go to Barcelona, but it's going to be very difficult. So it obviously wouldn't surprise anyone if he stays. And yet if the door opened to Arsenal, they might be there. And don't assume this is Alvarez or Morgan Rogers, because they are slightly different kinds of profiles and both very versatile. With Morgan Rogers, my information is that talks are underway regarding terms with the player. He is Arsenal's top target, and my expectation is after the World Cup, when Rodgers returns, Arsenal will bid, and then it all depends on Aston Villa. Are they confident they've brought in other money, such as Yuri Tielemans, and therefore there's a chance that the player might stay? Are they going to be pointing to fees like the Elliot Anderson one, 116 million, or are Arsenal going to be able to get a deal done cheaper? Because at those kind of numbers, I'm not so sure that Arsenal have the appetite.
Ben, great to talk to you. Thank you very much. If you want more transfer news, head to the website, talksport.com. The brilliant feature, the transfer notebook, is on there as well. More stories and rumours on the website. We're going to talk to Henry Winter next. More about Tuchel, more about England.
Now, we get the inevitable fallout after a World Cup, and there are reports that one or two of the England players were very surprised that we went ultra defensive in that closing stage of the game. And we were saying earlier on to Stan Collymore that there's a lot of making up to be done by Thomas Tuchel. A lot of people now would have lost trust and belief maybe in his methods, and that would include fans, it would include media, and he's going to have a very prickly time with the media, I guess, over the next 2 years, and maybe some of the players as well, Adrian.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he's it's a big moment in his England career. Everything had been okay and judgment had been on hold, but judgment was always going to come.
with what happened at this World Cup, because he was brought in to win the World Cup. And there's no shame in losing to the reigning champions, Argentina, who've still got a player like Messi, who is the best we'll ever see in our lifetime. But it's the manner in which you lose that game, and that manner was not acceptable. Since then, he's come out and basically said, oh, it's the player's fault, not mine. That's how it could be interpreted. And I think that's not going to go down very well. Certainly doesn't go down well with me, because he's been in the job long enough now, and he should have studied it in remember the 6 months he had off before taking the job? Well, in that time, he should have studied the England DNA. We all know about the England DNA.
Yeah.
Your job, mate, is to come in and change that DNA. And if you can't do it, then off you pop, because you're not welcome. You've got nothing to offer us if you can't change that DNA. And actually, the last couple of games, Norway and Mexico, he's been adhering to that DNA, playing up to that DNA. So if he needed something different, he should have already done something about it in meeting rooms, classrooms, on a training pitch. He's had enough time at this World Cup to really work hard with these players.
It's not often a World Cup great is known for his time on the pitch and in the dugout. Franz Beckenbauer is one of 3 men to win the tournament, both as a player and manager, and Der Kaiser's tenure with West Germany is iconic. We all know Beckenbauer as that grizzled warrior, so seeing him here, a young, fresh-faced 21-year-old, doesn't feel right, does it? 1966 was his first World Cup, when he was already building a reputation for his strong, marauding play, playing the libero or sweeper role for Bayern Munich. He had to act as a more traditional centre-back for the national team, though. West Germany fell short, losing in the final to England, but you already know that. Despite revenge over England in the quarters 4 years later, a game in which Beckenbauer was keen to get stuck in, West Germany were knocked out by Italy in the semi-finals. At 25 years old, he had a bronze medal, a silver medal, and the gold was coming. In 1974, West Germany didn't lose a single game on their way to winning their first title. And to top it all off, it was on home soil. And this was the team they beat to it, their fierce, total footballing rivals, the Netherlands, a team fronted by Johan Cruyff. Beckenbauer shocked the world when in 1977, aged just 32, he retired from international football to go and play for the New York Cosmos. The world went mad, but when you're going to go and be teammates with this guy, I mean, yeah, fair. Beckenbauer did come back to the West Germany national team, but as a manager in 1986. His task, get through the World Cup without embarrassment. But they reached the final and only lost to Argentina and their iconic captain, who, let's be honest, at the time was unstoppable. Beckenbauer returned for one final World Cup at Italia 90, where he got his revenge. West Germany beat Argentina in the final, and Beckenbauer became, at the time, only the second man after Brazil's Mario Zagallo to win the World Cup both as player and manager. So across 5 World Cups as a player and manager, he got a bronze medal, 2 silvers, and lifted the cup twice. That smile tells you everything you need to know.
World Cup kickoff on talkSPORT. I'm Adrian Durham, live in New York alongside the former England captain Stuart Pearce and talkSPORT's England commentator Jim Proudfoot. Loads more to come on the show. We're here with you through till 10 and we're streaming on YouTube as well. Head to the talkSPORT YouTube channel or on your connected TV. You can actually see The Empire State Building behind us. We are off to the baseball tonight, Stuart, aren't we?
We certainly are. Looking forward to that. It is a colossus of a game. Jim knows all about that, so I'm going to hand to my colleague. Here we go, Jim.
Well, it's the 6th game that we've been to since we've been out here. It's in the Bronx, Yankees at home against the World Series champions, the Dodgers, and it will be sold out. I know it's sold out because it's been really difficult to get our hands on some tickets for this one. It should be a fantastic affair, just being able to see some of the real greats of this generation play. I mean, I haven't seen Ohtani play in the flesh, so very much looking forward to that tonight as he bats the Dodgers.
Yeah, he's a megastar and pitches as well, right?
Yes, I must admit I don't know who the starting pitchers are tonight, so whether we get lucky, I should know this, I appreciate that, but whether we get lucky and we see Ohtani doing both, or whether he's just brilliant in one discipline as opposed to each of them.
Your baseball prep, not quite as good as your football prep, but it's irrelevant. We're going as fans. And actually, we thought Stuart Pearce's celebrity status would get us some freebies. We have paid for these tickets, so cheers, Stuart.
We certainly have, but we're still angling for tomorrow night as well. After watching the England game, we want to, if we can, get to the Beacon Theatre on Broadway to see Joe Jackson. Last time I saw him was, I think it might have been 1982 at the Hammersmith Palais. Right. So we're hoping, Joe, if you're listening out there, or your people, we're desperate to come. We think it's sold out. 4 of us want to come.
Well, we have actually explored several avenues to get tickets. No joy.
No, we've come up a cul-de-sac on those avenues.
It'll be different for girls, but
no.
I'm here all week. Thank you very much. By the way, I was going to head to a football match today. I usually go to a pre-season friendly, a summer with Peterborough United. They were playing in Spain today. They were playing in Marbella. I was going to fly back and then fly back for the World Cup final. Producer wouldn't let me for whatever reason. Bit mean. It's just finished. 0-0.
Oh, well done. You see, people will think this is poetic license, that you never actually had any intention. But you really did have the intention. I know you were on Skyscanner, you were looking for flights, you were trying to work out the practicalities of it, when you'd be able to get back, whether it would tie in with your work commitments. So I think you've probably dodged one.
I've had a lucky escape there, I think. But listen, I'm immune to 0-0s and defeats with Peterborough United. It's been going on for a long time now.
Deck, our producers, just mimic that you've got golden handcuffs with the show and they wouldn't release you.
Listen, I thought with England going out before the final, I thought it might change, but absolutely not. So there you go, a bit unlucky, but looking forward to the baseball tonight. There was a question I was going to ask you, Stuart, about the 3rd, 4th place game, and that is about the pressure on Thomas Tuchel. There has been pressure, and I just wonder if that ramps up. Now, I don't want to be the voice of negativity, but I will.
No, of course you don't.
I don't want to break the habit of a lifetime. If it is a big defeat, if Mbappe gets a hat-trick or more in his quest to be the Golden Boot winner, if it's 4 or 5-0, you know, and an embarrassment for England, where does that leave Thomas Tuchel?
Well, it'll leave a bitter taste in his mouth and the supporters as well, no doubt about that. We want to go out on a high if we possibly can. A victory against France will go some way, in a small some way, I say there, but all of a sudden people will start looking back over the tenure of a year and a half, and if we do lose this game, I don't know what our record would be under Thomas Tuchel at that stage.
It would be 16-2-4 if we were to lose that game, so 4 defeats in 22 matches, but obviously it would be back-to-back defeats, which is something that hasn't happened before. My take as an England supporter is that it's an irrelevance. I mean, providing England aren't utterly humiliated, I think that it's just one of those games. You certainly get the impression that people don't want to play in it particularly. That's notwithstanding your own personal experience from back in the day. But I don't think it will have too much bearing within the corridors of power at the FA unless there is a hangover from it, or they see something going on that they don't like, which is perhaps a hangover from what happened on Wednesday. But I'm not sure it has a huge relevance.
If I had to back either dressing room to say which one of these 2 dressing rooms will take this game more seriously, I would probably back the English dressing room, if truth be known, because the French have hit such a high standard at this tournament and then dropped off. They were nailed on. We were saying, who's going to beat the French? you know, and all of a sudden they've gone out. They'll make changes, as we heard earlier, potentially. I think it'll be a close game, personally.
Do you know what? A very quick one, Jim. I can't subscribe to that, you know, players don't want to play thing. And if that's the case, if that's the mentality of England players, that they don't want to play in the game, I think that's poor.
OK, let me rephrase it then. I think that perhaps there will be an element after a long, exhausting season that, to a very small extent, they will be demob happy and that they're looking forward to having a break. They know that when it comes down to it, the difference between third and fourth is not really here nor there when you consider what they were hoping to achieve and what they thought that they were on the cusp of with 10 minutes to go the other night. So let me frame it like that instead.
OK. I just know a few of the women who played for England in the World Cup 10 years ago or so, and they finished third, and it means an awful lot to them. When that third place has been disrespected, in their opinion, in any way, they've really bristled against it. So I would rather see England players want to play, want to redeem themselves for what happened the other night. And for the fans that are out here, that have paid a fortune to get here, we've heard the stories from Angelina about the money it's cost. I want to see commitment from every single England player. I don't want to hear players saying, oh, I'm tired, it's only a third, fourth place game. I know there's no meaning behind it, but it should mean more to you in your heart, surely. That's just my...
Yeah, OK. But I think, as a fan, it would be understandable if they are, for whatever reason, unable to hit the heights that they have done at other times in their international career. I think that there are mitigating circumstances around this game. And I don't think that, I mean, and I take on board what you say about England's women's team, and I'm not remotely trying to denigrate that achievement. But I think that if the third and fourth place World Cup game was not abandoned, but was cancelled from here on in, if this is the last time it ever got played, I don't think anyone's losing any sleep over that.
OK, fair enough. You may have your views. You can get in touch with us. Cricket lost a legend today. We'll talk about that next.
Up until 72 minutes, we were going to get into the World Cup. Oh, we weren't crap.
The goal was a wonderful ball from Morgan Rogers.
Yeah.
But I'm asking you to put your playing hat on now.
Yeah.
You're Argentina. Is that a good goal, or has they switched up at the back post?
That's a bad goal. You switched off. The right back, or was it the right back? Doesn't
Yeah,
even react.
Why does that need to criticise a bad goal for England? It was a great goal. We went 1-0 up. It's a great cross.
It was a great cross.
Why can't you argue that Gordon lost his man to score the goal?
Because the geezer doesn't even see him.
Well,
it doesn't go
there
like.
Must be a reason for that.
He doesn't run and go boom boom. He just runs and the guy's like, oh my man.
Troy, you can't criticise a goal that we.
I'm not criticising it. I'm saying we didn't play well. We had 5 shots in the whole game.
Yeah.
They had 5 on target. Remember, they don't call the 2 that hit the post on target.
Yeah, but
so they had the same amount of shots.
But man for man, they're better than us. But
no, they're not.
Well, they are.
No, they're not.
Not man for man, they're not.
Man for man, they're better than us.
Well, last night they were.
Yeah, but still, I think maybe you maybe at a stretch, maybe 3 of their players maybe gets into the England.
Exactly. And they're not man for man better than us. What they can do better, and well, this is why I thought Messi's greatness yesterday really showed.
Yeah.
Because you know when they were 1-0 down, there was 40 minutes left, he went, give me the ball. He lost it a few times, give it me again. He hit crosses over, give it me again. Don't worry, just keep giving it me because I know I'm going to do it. Everyone in their team went, there's 2 lines. You can either be, I'm going to be the person who doesn't make a mistake, I'm going to be the person who wins the game. Everyone in their team and their bench went, we're going to win the game, I'm going to be the man.
Yeah.
Our team went, don't be the one to make the mistake.
No.
And we played with fear. Now, that doesn't always come from the manager, that comes from the players within. One person I do want to give a shout, because I've been very harsh on him with this whole thing. Jed.
talkSPORT live at the World Cup, where we had some sad news today. We received the news that legendary West Indies cricketer Sir Garfield Sobers had passed away aged 89. Played 93 tests between 1954 and 1974, an incredible 8,032 runs, and took 235 wickets. Here's talkSPORT cricket editor John Norman to pay tribute to a legend.
West Indies and Barbados cricket has lost its most famous son. For 20 years, Sir Garfield Sobers played at the highest level, and he played at the highest level better than pretty much anyone. He could bat, he could open the bowling with pace, and then he could come back again and bowl spin. He was the greatest athlete that cricket had ever seen, and over 20 years as an all-rounder, he played 93 tests, scoring 8,000 runs, and he took 235 wickets. In 1966, Garfield Sobers scored more runs than anybody else in the game, took more catches than any other fielder, and he took the third most test wickets. Sir Garfield Sobers was cricket's GOAT. On the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel, we often discuss and compare players with the past and those in the present. Glenn McGrath or Jasprit Bumrah, Imran Khan or Ben Stokes. Each discussion goes back and forth, it sparks debate, we talk for 10-20 minutes, and then at the end of it we still haven't come to a decision. But with Sobers, there was never any debate. Who was the greatest all-rounder that ever lived? It was Garfield Sobers. Who is the game's only 10 out of 10 player? It was Garfield Sobers. 6 years ago, while in the country, I walked to the Cricket Legends of Barbados Museum. It's not far from the Kensington Cricket Ground, where Sir Garfield Sobers played so much of his cricket. And unsurprisingly, he's got his own room. And up on the wall, amongst his many achievements, was the award he received when he was named 1966 BBC Overseas Sportsman of the Year, along with Portugal's Eusebio. But what really caught my attention wasn't the fact that he won the award, it was the athletes he beat to it. Two names stood out amongst all the rest: Pele and Muhammad Ali. That's how good Sir Garfield Sobers was.
Some tribute that from talkSPORT's cricket editor John Norman to beat Pele and Muhammad Ali to that prize. Just shows you how amazing Sir Garfield Sobers was, and very famous in Nottinghamshire as well. He played with distinction for Notts. Stuart, you met him.
Yes, I have. Our commercial manager at Nottingham Forest was a fellow called Dave Pullen, who used to play for Nottingham as well. Had really close ties, as the club did, with Nottinghamshire Cricket Club. And Sir Garfield used to come over on a reasonably regular basis and play in charity games. Really humble man, as most of these superstars are. So humble. And I'm old enough to remember the six the runs that he got in that game at Glamorgan, you know, which quite incredible. And listen, I think we've lost an absolute colossus.
Yeah, saw the video of that again today in that match at Swansea, where he hit Malcolm Nash for 6 sixes in 1 over, which, if you think about it at the time, the fact that it was televised was remarkable, because very little first-class cricket was televised in those days. So it's great that there will always be this memory of him, a tangible memory of him. If you think what the great 1970s West Indies team achieved, when you had Greenwich and then Haynes, you had Viv Richards coming in, you had that fearsome bowling attack. I think it was the success that Sir Garfield had really laid the foundation for that, because he'd started when they weren't a great cricketing superpower. And I will never know, I guess we will never know exactly how much a part he had to play, but clearly he must have been instrumental in youngsters really taking up and believing that they could perform at an invincible level on the world stage and take after him, and then they became the greatest team that there was.
Let's speak to Barry Wilkinson, who's head of news and sport at the Starcom network. Barry, listen, we throw about legendary status a lot when we're talking about all kinds of sports, but there's no doubt it's richly deserved by Sir Garfield Sobers. I mean, the amount of sadness that you must be feeling and everybody around you must be feeling right now is at an all-time high, I would think.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's an all-time high here in Barbados and throughout the rest of the world. We are actually, like yourself, doing a live program. We just actually spoke with Michael Holding, who is in the Cayman Islands, and he was speaking about how sad they are in that part of the world. And we also spoke with Sir Clive Lloyd, who is in London, and he was giving us chapter and verse about how the news there has hit the cricketing world. And here in Barbados, where Sir Gary died, I was at his house this morning with his son Daniel. And, you know, the family gathered there, and it was indeed a very sad moment because he had been ailing for some time. But, you know, it's often different when a person passes away. It hits differently, and it has because of how much loved he was in Barbados and the rest of the world.
Yeah, there's not much prepares you for this kind of news. When we talk about the legends, he was inspirational for generations that followed as well.
Yeah, and I was talking to, when we were speaking with Michael Holding, we were saying that back in 1998, he became a national hero in Barbados. And I thought that that was a bit of a turning moment for the legacy of Sir Gary Sobers, because it meant now that all children at school must have to learn about Sir Gary Sobers for the rest of their lives. They have to know about Sir Gary. They have to know about all the national heroes. And by making him a national hero back in 1998, I think preserved his legacy in a way that even enriched it than it already was. Yes, we all know about the great feats, the 365, the 6 sixes and an over. But to learn more about him as a person became more intimate. And that brought about a sense of appreciation for how great Sir Gary Sobers was and will be for everyone's life as we go on. I mean, my son is 13, and he can tell me more about Sir Gary than perhaps even me, because he's learned so much about him at school. And there are other school children who might not even like cricket, but they are so into national heroes that what they've learned about Sir Gary gives a great appreciation for how good he was and how his legacy will live on. So it means a lot when he became a national hero in 1998.
I mean, I guess that there are very few figures that transcend their sport in the way that he has. Obviously, we're in the United States, and Jackie Robinson is one for everything that he stood for in baseball. His number 42 shirt has been retired across the country, will never be used again, and there's a National Jackie Robinson Day. I don't think in our beloved football that there is really a figure that has been able to transcend the sport in the same way. So tell us what it is, aside from his cricketing achievements, that really has enabled Sir Gary to do that.
Well, Sir Gary Sobers Pavilion and Sir Gary Sobers International Schools Tournament, which is actually ongoing, are two things that set him apart and that will be happening forever. The Sir Gary Sobers Schools Cricket Tournament is an international tournament that gathers every summer the best 12 schools from around the world. There are schools from England that are here. There are schools from the rest of from India that are here. And they play in that tournament every year. I mean, they're great cricketers that emanated from that tournament. And I think that's one of the things that will be a lasting legacy for him. And then yes, there was no numbers like how Jackie Robinson and those figures would have had back in the day that would have been retired. But the Sir Garfield Sobers Cricket Pavilion is one that we see every time there's cricket at Kensington Oval, that is etched in the faces of everyone who's watching, that they will continue to remember, that I think is better than a number. So these are things that, and his statue that is indeed at the Kensington Oval, these are things that will be remembered for quite some time to come. It is quite ironic that New Zealand are here playing in an ODI, and on Sunday they play against the West Indies in an ODI, and they've just announced that those matches will be free on Sunday and Tuesday. And the series, of course, is going to be remembered as the one being done for him. So these are little things that I think have come out quite timely, playing at Kensington Oval this weekend, playing before his statue, laying wreaths before his statue before the match on Sunday. These are things and iconic moments that will be greater than perhaps having a number etched on the back of his shirt forever, that we will always remember.
I've got to say I'm a regular visitor to Barbados, and every time I drive past the Sir Garfield roundabout, it takes me back to my childhood, because he was a superstar of the sport. I think next visit is going to be a slightly different memory of him, really.
Yeah, of course, we're waiting on the date for his interment, but today's a national day of mourning in Barbados, and the day of his state funeral will also be a national day of mourning. So these are things that we have to keep etched in our memories and our minds forever. And these are moments that, look, they're going to be etched in history, sometimes not for good, but there are necessary memories so that we remember how great a person really was, and that is such with Sir Gary Sobers.
Just tell me how you're feeling. I mean, you clearly have the passion for the sport, the recognition and admiration for the man himself. So what is your feeling as an individual on this?
As an individual, I'm greatly sad because I knew him personally. He knew my kids very well. And my daughter is going to turn 5 on July 28th, which he would have turned 90. So for the last 5 years, he's actually, well, the last 2, because he hasn't been that great in the last couple. But he always would call, and we always go by and have a quick hello to him and a little celebration. So it's a bit of a personal memory, I'm afraid.
Barry, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much. Barry Wilkinson, Head of News and Sport at the Starcom Network, with the news today that Sir Garfield Sobers has passed away at the age of 89.
And we're still 1-up, and we've been attacking, and we've still created chances, but it hasn't quite gone in.
Yeah.
But we're 1-up,
Yeah.
and Rashford's on the pitch.
Yeah.
And Saka's
Yeah,
on
go
the
on,
pitch.
keep going. And
In the 85th minute, it brings on Dan Burn.
No.
Go, lovely
No, we get done the counter-attack. That we can say. We can say.
What do you mean?
I just told you the scenario.
No, but that scenario is absolute crap.
No, it's
that scenario wouldn't have happened.
Jay, I'm just trying to paint you a picture about how we could lose the game in a different way, based on what. Jay, I'm with you. Don't get angry with me.
No, I am getting angry.
No, don't get angry with me.
You're trying to tell me how I'm going to feel about a situation.
And you'd sit there and go, oh, well done, boys. Glorious failure. We had a right go.
Yeah.
Right go at the post-cup time. Got done in 2 counter-attacks. Fine. Go out in your shield. No way. No way you'd sit there and say that.
I would have sat there and I would have accepted it
I don't
because I watched 4 bloody tournaments.
I don't believe you.
Of England.
I don't believe
doing
you.
exactly what we did last night.
I don't believe you.
And if we'd gone out with Rashford and Saka on the pitch.
I don't believe you.
And still trying to attack, and we get done,
do you know what
then
we'd be
we
sitting
get
there?
done.
Do you know what we'd be sitting there now? We'd be saying, how can Thomas Tuchel allow us to get done on the counter-attack twice, 85th and 92nd minute? How can that happen?
Right.
You'll be saying the same thing, and it'll be a different conversation based on what the evidence is in front of.
Right.
You would.
Don't tell me how I'm going to feel.
Oh, you'd accept it, would you?
Oh, I've told you 10 times.
No chance. No chance. I know you too well. No chance. I wouldn't accept it. I wouldn't accept it. I'd be saying, why has he not got 5 at the back? Why is he not? He's 85th minute on the counter-attack. But listen, we agree. I'm just trying to.
No, you're not agreeing. You're not agreeing.
No,
you're not agreeing.
No, I am.
No, you're trying to wind me up.
No, I'm not. Jay, 100% I'm agreeing with you. Jay, 100% I'm agreeing with you.
You're not agreeing with me. You're not agreeing with me. talkSPORT live in New York, just under the Empire State Building. You may be able to see it behind us. I'm Adrian Durham. Stuart Pearce, the former England captain, is with me, and talkSPORT's England commentator
Jim Proudfoot. Let's head back to Miami because Henry Winter, co-host of the talkSPORT show, the Sunday edition, is with us. Henry, hot and sweaty in Miami, is it?
Yeah, but I'm like that on a cold winter day at London Road, mate. First, good to see you, because I was in New York this morning. I was staying in a mate's apartment, looking towards you, as I always looking up towards you, I would say. And I'm glad that I can see you now, because it was a little bit smoggy. I think that, obviously your thoughts with everyone involved in the Canadian fire that's going on, and that's obviously very alarming. But the fact that it's drifting down, but is it lifting a little bit?
I think it's fair to say the air is clear. Right now, the air is clear here. But you're right, yesterday when we arrived, it was like Middlesbrough. It was so smoggy, it was unbelievable. But yeah, absolutely, the air is cleared right now. Let's hope that continues with Sunday's final in mind. But need to talk to you about England, because am I right in saying that you were actually fuming? You were angry with what happened in that semi-final against Argentina?
Still am. I mean, I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I was really hoping to see England in a World Cup final before I shuffle off this mortal coil. Yeah, I just thought it was self-inflicted. Yes, you're playing against the best player in the world in Lionel Messi. Yes, they've got dogs of war out there like Enzo Fernandez and Alexis McAllister, and they'll do anything to win. But you don't if you're in a street fight, against a bunch of urchins, you do not expose your jugular and you do not hand them a knife. And that's what Tuchel did. And I came out of that. I went to see a friend who was nearby, and England fans, and he was absolutely fuming. And England fans, you guys know so many England fans. You've been around this a long time. Stuart's obviously played. They sacrifice so much financially, emotionally, putting relationships on hold, mortgages, all that sort of stuff, to go there, get so close, to have some really good, we got a good generation of players, and to have a manager who did what he was brought in not to do, i.e. he was brought in to make the key decisions at the right times. And you know me, I'm fairly phlegmatic. I've seen a lot in this game, and this is worse than Nice. This is worse than, Gelsenkirchen and others, because the expectations were high, good players, exceptional manager, and then he goes and makes mistakes like that. Okay, some players, they were playing against a fantastic team, the world champions, let's not forget. But England just grabbed defeat from the jaws of victory. And how appropriate, I can hear a siren going off in the background. It's been going off in my head since Tuchel's substitutions.
Henry, there's been a forensic examination of everything that went wrong from 55 minutes onwards. What's the single biggest failing for Thomas Tuchel? Is it the first substitution? Is it the length of time it took to make that? Is it the double substitution that followed it when England was still winning 1-0? What's the number one item on the crime sheet as far as you're concerned?
Well, it's a very long crime sheet, starting at the top, taking Gordon off. I mean, he was terrorising their defence. I mean, well, not simply just in scoring the goal, but he had the pace, he had the pressing, he's in form, he's shown that he deserved to start against Marcus Rashford. And you know what an admirer of Marcus Rashford I am, and many people are. And I just thought he was terrific. And suddenly England didn't have an outball. I mean, look, they're more technical elements that could he have taken off a Kane. I would never take off Bellingham, because I just think he's that figure of defiance, and it's almost like sort of surrendering if you take off a player of his substance. Harry was dropping a little bit deep, but Gordon would have given us an outball. The other thing is, I mean, these dreaded hydration breaks, which we've been taking the mickey of, obviously they're there for commercial reasons as much as player welfare reasons. Tuchel had 3 minutes in that period to gather them and actually sort things out, whether it's a substitution, whether it was getting into them and just telling them to get out. I mean, look, it's no surprise that England dropped deep and retreated. We know all this. It's what England tend to do in default positions. Luke Shaw scores early in the European final, and then we drop off, and then Mancini makes his changes, and Southgate doesn't react in time. Okay, England get to penalties. So it's just it's made me angry because what it would mean to the whole game, what it would mean to the whole country if England had got to the final. You know, we don't live in the best of worlds at the moment. You look at the front page, you listen to the bulletins that you run on the top of the hour. It's not the happiest world at the moment. And for England to have got to the final, that would have lifted the mood. Think of all those kids out there who would have seen Jude Bellingham, who've seen these England players in a final, okay? Against a brilliant Spanish team, and they may not have won it. But think of that, just getting there, just getting that step beyond that fantastic generation which Stuart represented so well in Italy, and the boys who went to Moscow in 2018. It would have been fantastic. You think of all... Sorry, I feel like I'm coming off on a very long run-up for this, but I'm still angry about this, and I absolutely understand the anger back home. There's fury back home over this, because you think of all the grassroots clubs that have helped these players along the way, the EFL clubs that helped Jude Bellingham, Birmingham City, all the coaches there. Okay, so they know their work is being rewarded by every time Jude Bellingham goes out on the pitch. But wouldn't it be fantastic for all those clubs, all those grassroots clubs, all those EFL clubs, all those Premier League academies to see all these players on the pitch in a final and go, we contributed to that. So I thought it was damaging for the team. It was damaging the fans out there, the millions who would have been listening to Jim's always brilliant commentary, and throughout the rest of the country. Anyway, rant over. But it's bugged me. Maybe, do you know what, Adrian? Maybe it's my age, because I'm 63 and I just wanted to see England win something, and I've seen them go close. And you know what? You've been talking to them. Faye does all these brilliant interviews with them, and you after the match. Well, they are a nice bunch of, without sounding like a grandfather or a father, a nice bunch of kids, and you want to see them do well. And to see them come off that pitch like that, I was really pleased that Bellingham had a go at that stroppy Argentinian sub. I thought that was brilliant. I loved that reaction, and I'll tell you what, everyone watching, everyone supporting England there, back home, would have done the same.
Listen, if people are watching on YouTube, they can see your head about to explode, and it isn't because of
that
the
might
heat.
Be the weather.
Isn't because of the heat of Miami. It's because you are genuinely angry, and I think you're right to look at the coaches back home who've had a part to play in the careers of these England players, because the way Thomas Tuchel mismanaged that game so badly, and then has the gall to turn around and say, oh, it's in their DNA. That is an insult to all of the coaches who've brought those players up. So what do you think is the reaction back home and amongst you guys there as well, waiting for the England game tomorrow, to Thomas Tuchel seemingly being unable to take the responsibility for what was his mistake?
Well, I mean, he should have come out and said, listen, I apologise. I mean, just take some responsibility. That's what leaders do. You know, whether they actually feel genuinely that, you know, he may have good reasons for it. I'm sure they're being briefed, or they will be briefed, the reasons why he did it, why he made those changes. And maybe are there one or two cogent reasons? You look at Reece James, you look at Declan Rice running on fumes, injuries. I understand all that. But just keep an attacking outlet. Don't surrender. Don't retreat. And then rely on pushing Dan Burn up front and bringing on two strikers. I mean, he could have brought on Marcus Rashford or Ivan Toney earlier if he felt that Kane was sort of fading. So just coming back to your point, look, you know, we're not cut off from the bubble back home. I'm sure the players aren't as well. And I bumped into one of the players' family on the way into the game, and she was beaming, and she had the kids there, and it was just all excitement. And they would have been feeding into the anger back home. Neighbours, friends, families, you know, milkman, whoever. I mean, tennis coach. I mean, they've got extended staff nowadays, and they would have actually, they would know. The players will know the sense of anger back home, and also, but the players don't really need to be told, because you could see in their body language, you can see in some of the sort of the moods and that's been coming out afterwards how angry they are. And they've got every right to be, because they were so close. And then look, Messi might have turned on some magic, and even if every one of Tuchel's substitutions had been brilliant, then Argentina might still have won. But you know what? Give yourself a chance.
Henry, you're in charge of the FA today. What do you do?
Oh, Stuart, I'd probably close it down, actually. No, that's harsh. They're good people in there who care. They're a non-profit organisation who do a lot of good for the game. And the money that they raise, and people say this is a meaningless game, the game of shame that I'm going to cover tomorrow against France. But it's worth £2 million. That's 3G pitches that you could put into Moss Side, you could put into South London, and you might develop another great kid for the future. So that £2 million is worth it. And obviously Harry Kane will be sort of chasing more goals. What would I do at the FA? You know what, Stuart? First thing I would do is I would get a former England international of your standing, of Shearer's standing, maybe even Wayne Rooney's standing, go a little bit further back and put them on the FA board. I look in the FA boardroom, and do I see much expertise for, I mean, Joby McAnuff, fantastic, respected professional in the game. But I don't want people who've worked in accountancy for most of their life being parachuted into the FA boardroom and then effectively making a decision on who should be the England manager, who should direct the DNA. Look, I'm really pleased Dan Ashworth's back in there, and I know part of his role is to make sure they're homegrown coaches. And John McDermott as well. I mean, he's embedded in the game, and these are good voices within the building. So it's not a question of tearing down, the FA part of Wembley. But on an immediate footing, the problem the FA have got, and everyone pointed out at the time, you guys pointed out at the time, why give someone a contract when he's about, I don't sort of praise someone who's about to go into the exam hall and say, oh, fantastic, you've done it already. You do it. It should be performance related. That contract that he received should have been given after the tournament when we can all have a look at how well you've actually done. So, look, the FA are slightly trapped in their corner. I mean, all the mood music coming out of them is that they're going to stick by him. But, Stuart, look, we've been down this road many times before with England managers. You think of Steve McLaren, you think of Graham Taylor, you think of Glenn Hoddle. Glenn Hoddle was slightly different because of the comments about the disabled, but they were on the back of poor results at the start of a qualifying campaign after a tournament. And so for Tuchel, I would say the vulnerable time for him is when England play Spain at Wembley, is when England go to Czechia or the Czech Republic, or when England go to Croatia. Those first 3 games of the Nations League qualifying campaign, he's on shaky ground now. So I think he survives this, if that's what you're alluding to. I think he survives this, and the FA back him, partly because their credibility is tied up with him doing well. And then he's got to hit the ground running. He's got to have some new ideas. He's got to have an element of getting on, just talking to the fans and explaining what was his thought process. So, yeah, if I was the FA, I think they will continue to back him because that's what they do. Unless he gets an absolute shoeing by the French tomorrow and the mood music and the body language of the players suggests that he has to go.
Henry, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much. Henry Winter live in Miami ahead of England against France tomorrow. And interesting what you said at the end there. If England do get a shoeing, that could change things. But if they don't, if it's just a regular kind of result, narrow defeat or whatever it might be, Thomas Tuchel stays in place. This is talkSPORT live in New York.
I wasn't overly enamoured with what we were doing anyway. I've spoken freely on this marvellous channel that we're on, and, on talkSPORT regularly, and said, look, it's not as good as what everyone was making out, I didn't think, and that's nothing against the manager, Thomas Tuchel, nothing at all. It's just that I didn't think, I wasn't thinking we were blowing teams away and we were purring, but we were finding a way, and that's equally fair to say. That's a brilliant thing to have, of course, if you're not playing brilliantly, but you're winning games. Now, that's a great habit. We all know that. So I don't think I was too... I try to give balance to my comments about these things, and I didn't think we were magnificent anyway. There was a lot of talk about this feel, and how the feel was better. I wasn't having that bit. I was going, oh, come on, do me a favour. And I've spoken freely on I think it was with Simon and Jim about, Gareth's time, and they were sort of suggesting I was supporting him because I'm his mate and all that. I wasn't. I was just calling it how I think it was. I don't think there was radical change. I had a big debate with Simon about it on their show and said, look, I don't think there is radical change. Simon was saying there is, and he's a master tactician and that's fine, by the way. I've got no problem with people's comments because we're here now talking about it. But I did say on that show, I did say to Simon, I said, Simon, there's nothing radically changed here. If you cut through the noise and you go, in balance to that side of it, which I've been intrigued with, is I do think this is the best opportunity we've ever, certainly in my lifetime, I think it's the best opportunity we've ever had to win the World Cup. Not because we're amazing, but because the other superpowers are not as superpowered as what they were. France were flying. I think we're all shocked by that one because they were the ones who you thought, right, okay, they're what we think they should be, apart from their last game. And equally, you look at them and they are superpowered. And yet, you look at their last game and you go, what just happened there? So it is the World Cup. It's not easy to win a World Cup. Everyone sort of suggests it is, but it's not.
Time running out for the chance to bag a massive £26,000 in our latest competition. Just imagine what you could do with that money. A whopping 26 grand in cash, completely tax-free. But you've only got a few days left. All you have to do, head to talksportwin.com and do it now. This is TalkSport live in New York, where the sun is shining, and you've been hearing stories of the smog in the air in New York, but it's absolutely clear, the air right now. And that's good news with the final in New York, New Jersey on Sunday, live on TalkSport. Me and Jim are with you for another show tomorrow, and I have Troy Deeney with us.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
It'd be great to see Troy.
Absolutely. So join us for that one tomorrow on TalkSport, 4 p.m. We will be with you. I don't think listen, we've known Henry Winter a long time. First met him in the back of a taxi in Athens, where we survived the drive in the middle of Athens that day. Had a very long conversation about driving standards. I've never seen him that angry about anything. And it just drives home to you what a chance missed by England. But he was fuming, wasn't he?
I've never seen Henry like that, to be fair. Normally there's a level tilt about what he sees and whatever, but he's livid, to be quite honest with you. And listen, that was the frustration. I think he was expecting a victory, and he thought this time round it might be the time for us.
I think that even in the cold light of day, 48 hours on, it's the way that it happened. It's not the fact that it happened. It's not the fact that England were eliminated in a semi-final, because as we've said many times, they were seeded fourth in this tournament, so you would expect them to finish fourth by that measure, and that a defeat to Argentina, as painful as it was never going to probably be the end of the world. But when you're in the position of strength that England were, and you just seed that strength and you roll out the red carpet for the best player that the world has ever seen, by whatever means of doing it, then it is deeply, deeply frustrating. I mean, Henry put it perfectly. He's got a few years on us, but it's a great point. You just wonder, if you're not quite old enough to remember 1966, you do with every passing World Cup think, okay, that's another one chalked off. Are we ever going to see it? This felt like a really good opportunity to see England in a World Cup final, maybe to see England lift the trophy, maybe not, but certainly to see them in the final. And it's that really that sticks in the throat.
Yeah, and the DNA comment where he's saying, Thomas Tuchel, that it's in the English players' DNA. That was the thing that really got me. That got me fuming. I could keep a calm head about defeat. Listen, when you support the teams I support, including England, you get used to defeat and failure and disappointment and all the rest of it. But the manner of that defeat, Jim's right, the manner of the defeat was so difficult to take. And when the manager turns around and says, well, this is what English players are all about, this is why you were brought in, mate, to recognise all of this, to accept that that is the task that you've got, to change that mentality. And you've had 2 years to think about it, 18 months with the players to work on it, well over a month with the players at the World Cup to work on it as well. And you can't turn around and use that as an excuse. So that made me angry. In the middle of what Henry Winter was saying, he referenced you, Stuart, and talked about maybe somebody on the FA board as an advisor. I would personally love to see Sir Gareth Southgate on there. I don't think Gareth would take it because he doesn't want to be seen to be interfering, I don't think, with what the New England manager, or relatively New England manager, is doing. But we've had a text here from Mal who says Stuart has his coaching badges. Mr. England himself, I think he would do a great job and the fans would get behind him for sure. Now, we're going to bump up your contract to keep you with us on talkSPORT. Goes without saying, of course, but would you be interested in that?
I think when I worked at the under-21s as the under-21 manager for that 6-year period, without blowing my own trumpet, I think I should have been, as part of that job, been head of teams as well. You know, so
just explain what head of teams is.
Well, it's an overview. It's someone that takes a real interest in all the age groups up to under 21 level, and then obviously you'd have connection with the seniors as well. I'd done that in the main anyway. Every tournament I could get to that wasn't under 21, under 17 tournaments, under 19s, under 20s, I would go to. When I was asked to take the England senior team against Holland at Wembley when Fabio stepped down, the night before I went to watch the under-17s play at Leyton Orient. I don't think too many managers would have actually done that. But I've got a real interest in that, you know. So I've always felt as though England have missed a trick in 1990 not keeping Bobby Robson on and give him the job of head of teams. And the same with Gareth as well. There should have been a pathway for Gareth Southgate to be part of the FA structure after he finished his tenure as a manager. And that, not, you know, Gareth decides to leave, there's a bit of venom there. The English public decide that they want to criticise Gareth for every move that has gone by. Now, all of a sudden, I've always said, let the tenure of the next manager pan out before you start judging Gareth Southgate for what he done, because I know what a good job he done. He should have been kept on at the FA, and I've always said that, and I've said that before Henry's mentioned it, and I've said it for a couple of years now.
And I think that Henry said something else that really struck a chord with me. He said that what happened the other night was worse than Nice. And Nice was England losing to Iceland 2-1 in the Euros in 2016. I'm not sure that that's the case, but I do think this is worse, what happened against Argentina, than anything that happened in Gareth's reign.
This was a colossus one. It was a World Cup semi-final, and everything's thrown in that. It was against Argentina as well, so the scenario between the rivalry between the two countries, yeah, and the fact that we were 1-0 up, there was so many things thrown in the mix that has made our emotions probably incendiary as they stand at the moment.
You've been at all those games where England led and then failed, including back in Nice in 2016, 10 years ago, Jim. I mean, where does this disappointment rank for you?
I think it's second behind Nice. Nice was an utter shambles, where England didn't do themselves justice, and where I would still contend 10 years on there was a lack of preparation led to that. But England conceded goals from Icelandic set pieces that we had talked about in the build-up. We knew exactly what they were going to do, and seemingly England didn't know what they were going to do, and I will never be able to understand how that situation arose. This, I think, the closer you get to the finishing line, the closer you get to glory, when it's snatched away from you, it always feels crueler. I think that 2022 could have panned out very differently. I think that England were closer 4 years ago than perhaps we felt. Events conspired against us. This feels still only 48 hours on in the cold light of day, eminently preventable, that mistakes, avoidable mistakes, were made. And that, I think, is what has left us feeling so raw, and why that anger is there. I think that in my time watching England, I think only Nice is more frustrating than this.
Despite the fact it's been based on England disappointment, enjoyable show. Thank you very much for being with us, Jim Stuart, and Jim back with me tomorrow with Troy Deeney at 4 p.m. UK time. I was very, very angry yesterday morning when I reflected on the game, it's turned just to a straight disappointment. And I'm waiting now for this third, fourth place game, because I think there's something in this. They've got to show something. He's got to show something. Thomas Tuchel has to do something. This has been talkSPORT live in New York.
It's 25 minutes. You're playing against Argentina, and you've just gone, here, there you go. Go on, just attack us. Attack v defence.
Do you know what, Jay? I can't believe I'm having this conversation about Tuchel.